Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I wholeheartedly offer whatever suits your time zone. Once again, it's another Blue Morning show. So, more importantly, Blue Morning to you. I hope you're all doing well. Today, we have an important topic to discuss. First, we will talk about thank God he's fine. Thank God it's not life threatening like we've heard. But we're going to talk about what it could mean for Chelsea Football Club, whether that will lead to the UK government lifting the sanction, whether that will lead to maybe Roman deciding he doesn't want to sell a Chelsea Football Club anymore, whether that will mean to the restrictions on Chelsea being removed. We will talk about it, and then what we'll try to do is to come to a sensible conclusions and see, take it from there. So let's get into it. Yes, people, welcome back to the Blue Money Show. I hope you all are doing well. First, let's interact a bit with those in the chat. Sasuke Uchiha said Roman Abramovich involved in more peace talks in Turkey. That is good to see. And Blue Money to you, Sasuke Uchiha. Also, Christine 59, the UK is so corrupt. It is for once truly world class in the league of their own. Stay strong, Roman. Yes, stay strong, Roman. Blue morning to you, Kristen. I hope you're fine. I hope you guys are doing well, and I really mean that. And I am happy to say that I have Stav in the house. Stav, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Okay. Looking forward to going out this evening to watch Cyprus play Estonia.
Oh, you're going to the game?
Yeah.
Yo, good
May as
luck.
well get
good
one
luck.
in before COVID strikes again.
Good luck. Good luck to you, Stav. Good luck. I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, before COVID strikes again, indeed. Again, like I've mentioned before, today we're going to talk about the poisoning of Roman Abramovich and what that could mean for the man himself and Chelsea Football Club. And we'll talk about whether the incident debunks, his alleged ties to Mr. Putin, whether the British government will lift the sanction on Mr. Roman Abramovich, whether the incident will lead to the realization that the man is innocent, or whether, if it is possible, it will possibly lead to the lift of all sanctions and restrictions by the British government, and whether Romana will decide not to sell Chelsea Football Club. So, Stav, overall, what do you think about the situation?
I think I'll keep that to myself for the moment. Because it might put shall we say, a damp squib on the whole program. So you ask other people, and I'll respond to their comments and stuff. I saw one about the UK being corrupt. One of the first comments.
Yeah, I couldn't even read it through myself because I don't want to get into trouble. But go ahead.
Yeah, I saw that, but yeah, that's correct, but not in the way that the person thinks. Okay, so there's that idea is correct, but it doesn't relate to Roman. Roman's just a political football, right? And there's no agenda. They weren't even bothered about taking the club from Roman. It's nothing to do with any of that, right? It's about their own issues. Said people don't even care about Ukraine. Believe me.
And again, I want to say something to Street Beer. No, nobody. We haven't. Nobody blamed anybody here. We're just talking about our beloved owner and our beloved club. We haven't said anything about whose fault is it, and we're not going to go into that. And that's how we do here. And I want to say blue morning to the queen of all streams of South and the queen of Chelsea, one of the queens of Chelsea Perspective, Strip Beer. Always good to see you. And again, we haven't blamed anybody, and we're not going to do that here. Also, I want to say blue morning to Tobago. Always good to see you around. Go ahead, Stav.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, I can hear you. I said, go ahead.
No, I didn't hear the question.
I didn't ask any question. I was just saying hello to those in the chat.
Okay. Right. So what do you want me to say then?
All right. So I'll come back to you since you don't have anything to say at this moment. Let me read what we have here. Would be Magnificent Tobago. Yes, he will be. And yes, my beer. Okay. Looks like these two, they like each other. So it's always good to see that you're friends in the chat. So Stav, let me start by asking you this question. The question is the fact that this has happened. He's he's one of the targets. No need saying whose fault it was or who tried to do that. We don't know. We don't have facts. But the fact is, the allegations were they tried to poison them, and he was one of those. And it happened during a peace talk event. I'm not sure. I can't recall where. Let me ask you this question. Does the incident debunk the allegations that he has ties to Mr. Putin, at least from your own perspective?
Not necessarily, because the attack has been blamed on hardline Russians who don't want the peace, not necessarily Putin, because he wouldn't have allowed Roman to be involved.
Okay.
So no, it doesn't really debunk it. There is a connection.
It doesn't debunk it,
but not to the extent. No, there is a connection. Let's be honest about it, right? But not to the extent people would like it to be. Not to the extent where, shall we say, rival fans want to use it, and not to the extent that the British government are using it either.
Yes, yes, Tribia, thank you for that information. The peace talk meeting was in Belarus. Thank you very much. You're very, very knowledgeable of the situation. Go ahead, Stav.
Yeah, it's obvious there would be a connection because he was a governor and he was a senator, so there's going to be connections. But ultimately, Ultimately, he had a connection with Yeltsin long before he had a connection with Putin. Although it's believed, if you believe everybody, is that he knew Putin and that he suggested Putin to be Yeltsin. But he's Yeltsin's protege. And it was Yeltsin who helped him acquire the companies.
Okay. I know it's difficult, Stav. Let's try the best we can. I know it's very hard given the topic to not go down the path of politics. If we can, let's avoid it. So let me try and read this comment. How do you pronounce this guy's name? CFC, is it Peace or Pies? I'm not sure. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me say PYS. CFC. It's PYS. Yeah. Okay, CFC. Yeah, CFC PYS. His breaking news: Roman Abramovich is suffering symptoms of suspected poison, according to Wall Street Journal. And here he said 3 members attending peace talks between 3rd or 4th March suffered symptoms consistent with poisoning with chemical weapons. One of the victims was Roman Abramovich. And this report here says a source with direct knowledge has just confirmed to me the Berlin and Card reports that Abramovich suffered symptoms of poisoning. Roman lost his sight for several hours and was treated in Turkey, the sources said. So this one here, then again, you have to have some people who will always doubt the situation. And I guess who it's going to come from? Definitely Sky Sports. They say this is a new level of low for Sky Sports. Says this Jay who tweeted this. says a U.S. official has cast doubt on claims as sanctioned Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich and Ukrainian peace negotiators were victims of a poisoning earlier this month. So yeah, you will always have doctors. So Stav, what do you think? The fact that Sky Sports is doubting that is the news.
What, that it's false?
Yeah, they're saying it's false. To them,
well,
that according to a U.S. official, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, but that started from the Times newspaper, and Sky picked it up from there. And this is what I keep saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is what I keep saying. Right, is that Sky will just run with whatever they want and give it their own spin, and they're always going to look for the negative stories on Chelsea. So.
Okay, let me ask you this, Stav. Assume. Go ahead. You were saying something. Sorry.
I can't say that they're lying. I can't say that it happened. Right, we can only base ours on reports, right? And with regards to Strip Bear's comment, the BBC is the worst. I've not really seen much on the BBC. I don't use them because the BBC is basically in certain people's pockets.
Yeah, here's the thing. I'm not gonna start arguing who's in whose pocket. The fact is, what we do here is what we look at situations. We look at what's out there, and then we'll try to dissect the information we see, put them together, and then come to a sensible conclusion. That's what we do here. And the truth is, we have no direct source to any of the events. We just try to make sense of everything that's happening. That's how we think here. That's Tobago continuing with the campaign of no to rickets. And Sylvia says, don't watch TV myself, but see it occasionally online. And of course, you don't miss games. That's one thing for sure. Stav, I'm going to come back to you. The second question is this, if in fact it is true that it happened, and if they eventually uncover evidence that something like that happened, don't you think it just highlights it just debunks the rumors that Roman still has ties to Vladimir Putin? What do you think? Okay, looks like we've lost a Stav. But to me,
I'm still here. It doesn't debunk anything. I've already answered this once, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying if in fact, if it's investigated and it is true, don't you think that puts that argument to bed?
Well, it's true that he was involved in the talks and that an attempt was made on him.
Yes, they already know he's involved in the talks. We knew that all along, but we're just learning about the poisoning incident. So I'm saying because it is going to be investigated. He's not the only one involved. Ukrainians are involved, and also you can since it was a peace talk, definitely there were Russians there too. So I think that it will be investigated, and if in fact it is true, don't you think that automatically debunks that is the talk that he has ties to Putin?
Do you want me to answer this honestly?
Yeah, just be honest. Yeah, I'm not just saying. You don't have to tell me what you think I want to hear.
As much as I'd like to say it does, it doesn't. Because why would Putin accept him as a mediator unless they have a connection? So it doesn't look. It doesn't debunk it, and I don't think it's going to change anything either, whether that be the EU or UK.
Why do you think it's not going to change anything?
Well, the wishful thinking is that they'll think, well, hang on a minute, at least he's trying to bring peace. Maybe we were a bit too quick to sanction him, etc., etc. Let's lift the sanctions on him. Roman decides not to sell. and Roman gets to keep the club. Isn't that the general hope?
Mm-hmm. And if you can see this question, or do you, Tobago here asks the question: do you think UK government were too quick to sanction Roman because now he's looking to solve things with between Ukraine and Russia? If you ask me, I'd say the same. And I think Stav himself have said on this show before that it looks like they rushed it because if I can, Stav, tell me if I'm wrong. You were arguing then that they don't have what did you call it again? Legislation to sanction
I
him.
argued that they didn't have the legislation, right? But they put the legislation into practice 4 days before they actually put the sanctions in. But they were still trying to avoid doing it, right? And I've argued that the sanctions are nothing to do with Roman. It's just a political football. They don't care. They couldn't care less about Roman. They couldn't care less about anybody or anything, right? The only thing they care about is staying in power, right? And he's been used as a political football to silence the opposition. You said you didn't want politics, but I have to say it the way it is, right? So that there's no misconceptions, right? The original intention wasn't to sanction him anyway, but then the pressure got too much, right? And they were basically using him as a political football to remove the pressure from within.
So right? they had to put something together.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah. But the thing is, even when they announced it, right? They didn't give any information. They didn't give any concrete evidence. They just basically announced it and said he had what on his hands, right, without giving any information, right, and that in itself put all the pressure on Roman. But there are other high-level Russians, right, in the UK or involved in UK businesses, right? But,
so I want to take that opportunity to say good morning. Sheila says good morning from Pawtucket, Nigeria. Good morning, my Niger brother. I hope you're doing well. And then the Queen herself said because politicians are stuck in their ways, boss. That's the truth. They feel like they know better than most people. It was a PR move to sanction Roman. Yes, that's correct. I think we thought so before because I think this is one of the first times the Americans differ from the British. That is, the Americans haven't sanctioned Roman, but the British has. So that makes a huge difference. That shows you that something isn't quite aligned. Maybe the Americans know what the British don't know. I don't know if that's the case, because why would British government sanction Roman and the U.S. government hasn't, or have they, staff?
Because, right, let's keep it real here. They have sanctioned other Russian oligarchs, right? The US. And the only reason Roman hasn't been sanctioned is because Zelensky asked them not to.
But that wouldn't be that alone. It wouldn't be the reason, because he can't just say don't and they will not do it. He has to give them some solid reasons not to do that.
Because he was in the talks.
Okay, now
because he was involved in the talks.
That highlights the facts. Let's take it back a bit now, Stav. Let's be objective here. The fact that Zelensky called the United States and asked them not to sanction Roman highlights the fact that he was really, and you said the reason was because he was involved in the peace talk. And that highlights the fact that truly he was involved in the peace talks. And that alone shows you how much of a risk he takes. So don't you think that alone, tells the fact that there's been a poisoning incident? How much he risks to be involved in the process in the first place?
Well,
okay. I want to say welcome.
What can I say? All I can say is it justifies the fact that he was involved in talks, right? Some people will turn around and say like I said earlier on, right, that basically that proves his connection to Putin. Otherwise, Putin wouldn't trust him to be involved, right? And also, it's still not proof that he was attacked. I mean, I think he was.
No, there's no proof. But
I think he
here's
was.
yeah, there's no proof,
I
but
think he was.
I believe he was. And again, like what we do here, we're not saying that it is true. We can't just do that because we don't have proof. But what we do here is we put two and two together. We analyze information we get, and then we dissect, and also we try to come to a sensible conclusion. That's what we do here. And Stav, that is why I'm always happy to have you on the panel, because you don't make it a one-way conversation. You try to make us think from all the perspectives and not just be subjective. So, but thank you, Stav, for that. I want to say welcome to the panel to Per. Per, how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Brilliant, brilliant. Always good to hear that. I'm going to bring you up to par, but I want to read the comment. And this one on the screen is hilarious. I haven't seen that before. He says, like, some famous dude said, cannot remember who politics are for people not good looking enough for Hollywood. That sounds more like it. They act like the same as pirates. I think they do. I have always, you could, I mean, that's your opinion. U.S. intelligence is far higher than what. That's your opinion. And well, the people in power. Yep, we know that. Based on MI, and that's up to you. Yeah, had a friend higher up in some agency, and the Americans he met seemed more English than Americans. Wow, that's a strong one. They come out from the fancy prep schools. Possibly most politicians are. So I'm going to come to you now, Per. The question I asked, Tab, I think I'll ask you those questions to bring you up to par. So the first was, if in fact the poisoning incident is true, and first of all, let me ask you this question: what do you think about the reports?
The reports. Well, there's been a number of different reports about whether it's actually poisoning or whether it's actually chemicals. They're called because they refer to chemical environments, and obviously that's got implications if chemical weapons have been used. I mean, if it's not directly the Russian army, but the hardliners has been reported, some people who object to the peace talks taking place, then I suppose people could turn a blind eye. But
and if you can give me 1 second to comment quickly, the fact that it is not just the poison, let me just phrase it this way if I'm allowed. The poison isn't basic chemical weapon. That means it will be investigated thoroughly, if you ask me. But go ahead.
Yes, but it's also I don't know what the difference is between poison and chemical. Why one should be considered more serious than the other, but there's more implications if it's chemical weapon or some chemical that was involved. But yes. But going back to, I'm not trying to avoid the politics as well. But when we go on about PR exercises and what the UK government, sorry, I should mention them, about what they did and PR exercises. When Roman Abramovich was sanctioned, he was not sanctioned. It wasn't an announcement to say we are sanctioning Roman Abramovich. That was not what happened. They sanctioned a whole load of Russians on that day. It wasn't just him.
And it's important to highlight that
he was one of a list. Of course, he's known. The other names wouldn't mean anything to the media. So when as soon as he was sanctioned amongst a whole load of others, I mean, yes, it did follow on from Zelensky, as Stav has said about the fact that this happened afterwards. But the UK they suddenly felt we need to sanction more people, so they sanctioned the whole list of Russians, rich Russians. And with the intention of the fact that if you sanction these Russians and you restrict their assets, then that means that Vladimir Putin is not allowed to, it restricts access to that money for him as well. I mean, that's the intention of doing it. So by sanctioning these rich billionaires in Russia, it also stops the money going to Vladimir Putin. So that's the logic behind it. And he was one of, I think, 7 on that day, and then a whole load of others were sanctioned after that. So he was one of 7 that was sanctioned on the Thursday. But he's the one that the media is going to say, look, he's the owner of Chelsea Football Club and he's been sanctioned. The other 6 weren't really given a mention. So, it wasn't done in isolation. I'm not, we can turn around and say, well, he was involved in peace talks. That wasn't really known. There were suggestions that he'd been asked to, but they weren't going to wait and get any clarification. Obviously, if Zelensky then tells the US government to, contacts the president and says, don't sanction Roman Abramovich, who still might get sanctioned eventually over there, then obviously that's not happened there, but it's happened in the EU after the UK, and there's no guarantee he won't be sanctioned later on over there.
Yeah, there's no guarantee, but at least if them putting a halt to the plans to sanction the man makes a whole lot of difference, and it speaks volume. Maybe it's a sign that there's something else they know. Maybe the other government doesn't know, because the fact is, I still don't think they would just halt to their plans to sanction the man, given just from a phone call from Zelensky, and I don't think they will turn around and still do it anyway, given its efforts. But let me ask you this again, Pierre. Now, the second question I want to ask you: if in fact that there was a poisoning attempt, does the incident, debunk, his alleged ties with Mr. Putin, because he's putting his life in danger too?
Well, yes, but it depends who was responsible for that. I mean, obviously, Putin is very good at getting rid of opposition. If Abramovich was a threat to Putin, then he wouldn't have just been given a warning, as what the reports are saying about the peace talks. And if he was representing, or if he was down there, because he's been to Moscow recently, so he hasn't been arrested. He's not. Certainly from Putin's side. So, you can't sort of turn around just because he has been affected by something that makes him therefore, says that he's got no ties with Putin.
So, okay, I'm going to come back to you. A great input right there. It's important to mention that he's traveled to Russia too, and the fact that he hasn't been arrested. And you did say something about, if it's opposing the man strongly, I think it would be talking about something else here right now. I think that argument makes sense. Stav, I'm going to come back to you. Mikhail here says, morning, at least the EU sanctions should be relaxed on Roman as he shuttles around on peace missions. Yeah, he shuttles around from, it was Belarus, I think that was what the Street Beer says, and now Turkey. They moved it to Turkey, probably given the poisoning incident. Don't you think it will only make sense? The man is making efforts. I think he's done. If you ask me, I'd say not. Aside from sanctions and all the talks and supply of weapons to Ukrainians, I think the man, Roman Abramovich himself, has done enough for the EU to consider, relaxing the sanctions, the restrictions, or even what's his name, the other government relaxing the sanctions on Chelsea Football Club. What do you think, Stav?
Well, he's got a route to get from Israel to whatever the talks are anyway, right? The EU aren't going to relax the sanctions, right, just because he's shuttling around, right? At the end of the day, I didn't want to use these words, but there's a lot of wishful thinking going on here, right? The EU are not going to relax any sanctions, right? The EU are possibly been the most supportive, right, of the Ukraine. So they're not going to relax the sanctions, right? And now there's the UK, because each group has done so for their own ends and means, right? And in the EU's case, it's because they're being supportive of Ukraine, right? So, whereas the other lot, which I'm not allowed to mention, they have their own agenda for sanctioning Russian oligarchs, and it's nothing to do with the Ukraine. They have their own agenda. Nobody's going to relax anything, and it was quite in the report I read, right? Zelensky called Biden and asked him not to sanction Abramovich, yet the word "yet" was used because he's involved in talks. Right? If I was Roman, I wouldn't be doing any of it because it's not going to succeed. He's not going to benefit from it anyway, right? And he's just putting himself at risk. I wouldn't be doing it. No one's going to thank him for it. No one's going to change their sanctions on him for it. And every time he goes back in there, he's putting himself at risk. So I certainly wouldn't be doing. I'd be sitting comfortably in Israel, right, in my mansion, villa, kibbutz, whatever you want to call them over there, right, and be enjoying my life because no one's going to thank him for it. And it's not going to save him from... I'll be very surprised if it saves him from sanctions by Biden, right? And the thing is, Biden is closer linked to the EU than he is the UK. The old, the traditional ally thing, right, between the UK and the US has been debunked since Mr. Johnson came to power.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Pierre. Do you think our owner Roman Abramovich, we must say, because we're saying things from the perspective of Chelsea Football Club. So if you're in the chat, please let's be careful let's sound a little less political, and then talk about Chelsea. That's why I'm highlighting this comment on the screen saying Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea. And I want to read this beautiful comment before I come back to Pierre. This beautiful message here from Michael Obinka, who said, Romana, I want to use this opportunity to thank you for your hard work. I really appreciate you for that. And I pray that our God will keep blessing you. That's a beautiful message to see. And this is Tobago here saying, big up Coachila and the panel, big up to you and blue morning to you. So I want to read, like this one here, I still highlighted, I will always come back to it. And Pastor Daniel Obika says, the sanctioning of Romana was needless. Many of the oligarchs do not agree to Putin going to war, but you cannot criticize Putin publicly and go scot-free. Hence, their silence. That is a very powerful comment. I think Stav has talked about these almost a million times on this show, how important it is that you lip service or you get into trouble. So we're not going to talk about that. I'm going to be looking for comments with questions on how the situation could affect Chelsea Football Club. If I see something like that, we will talk about it. I love you too. Okay, you guys are sharing. Okay, dude, ever been to Russia? Yep, it's a nice place. Good people too. So what else am I going to see here also? I was going to come to you. The question is, do you think Roman is doing this, getting involved in the peace talks to evade sanctions like some people are already arguing? To me, I'd say no. He's given up quite a lot. Like, see how much he's given up in the sale of Chelsea. And I don't think it's about, him invading the sanctions because remember, he grew up in Ukraine, right? And his mom is from Ukraine too. So you go ahead, Pierre.
Well, you're talking about growing up in Ukraine, but I suppose there was less distinction back in the time that he grew up. But we can go back to that. But people make out Ukraine was a separate country. Then it wasn't. So, But yes, I mean, we've got to remember that this actual event has happened in the past now. He's fully recovered. He's actually in Turkey at this moment, involved in discussions today. So this poisoning, chemical, whatever happened before the sanctions were applied to, it wasn't. So
go ahead, Pierre.
Yeah. So he was asked by Zelensky. He's got Jewish background. There's a number of reasons why there was a request from Zelensky to take involved. He said his involvement could only be limited. I have seen comments about other people where some of the oligarchs have not spoken in support of Putin, and not even speaking in support of him is regarded as some form of dissent. And you've got to understand how ruthless it can be in Russia. You really do. I've seen comments here, and I can speak from personal experience. So, and I have been to the Soviet Union. I have been to the various parts of the Ukraine when it was under the Soviet Union back in the 80s. But you know, I can say that my father, who's no longer alive, my father was under death instructions by Stalin back in the 1950s after the Second World War. Because my background is Polish on one side and Russian on the other side, so I have got Russian blood in me.
And also, so there's Stribia. Stribia has Russian blood in him. So, so you don't think he's doing it solemnly because he wants to evade sanctions? The fact that he has Ukrainian, I forgot how you put it, but he had.
We talk about Ukraine in the same way that Stalin was from Georgia. These were all parts of the Soviet Republic back in there. So his mother being born in the Ukraine. When I went round the Soviet Union, I was in the Ukraine. Did it feel like the Ukraine to me? It was just part of the Soviet Union. In the same way I went to Moscow, Leningrad as it was then. I mean, I went round the Soviet Union because I have an interest in the country because of my background. But as I say, I'm more concerned with Vladimir Putin, what he's doing, because there's been reports that there's been all sorts of rumours about his health and obviously whether he's mentally stable. But again, we're sort of moving then into the politics.
Let's try at the best we can to avoid it. Yeah.
If Roman Abramovich was doing something in the basis that he felt he could help, that's down to him. I don't think he consciously said, if I do this, I might avoid sanctions. I don't think that ever crossed his mind. And he doesn't
look like in terms of I think he's always sought for a better world. I think so I'm not surprised that he's put in so much effort in the peace talks to try to put an end to the crisis in Ukraine. I think he's a kind-hearted man. I've learned that over time. We're not going to go into how he made this money. That's, by the way, there's hardly a billionaire on planet Earth who can, come out and we'll look at their records and say, oh, it is squeaky clean. But I understand your point on why he's doing that. It's not just because he wants to evade sanctions. He's shown that it's never about money for him. So, LSC, I'm going to come to you quickly and ask you the same question I've asked Stav, and also the same question I've asked Pierre. So the question is, and by the way, welcome to the panel, LSC. How are you doing?
Yeah, man. How you guys doing, man? Greetings to the house.
We're doing good. Nice to hear from you. So let me ask. The first question is: if in fact he was poisoned, we've known all along that he was called upon. He was reached. The Ukrainians reached out to him to come try to get involved in the peace process, and he accepted. He was the only one accepted that I heard. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you're on the panel. And in the process, we're hearing right now that he's been poisoned. He had symptoms, but the good news is that it's not life-threatening. So the question is, do you think that debunks the alleged ties that he has with Vladimir Putin?
Of course, they know there is no ties. They know right from day one there is no ties. And they even knew that they don't have the power to sanction him. All right? This sanction that is being levied upon him now and Chelsea Football Club is absolutely illegal. And I believe that it can be, if Abramovich decides to go to court over this, it can be won. But it's going to affect us as a club negatively. I think that's the only reason why. Every other person will go to court over this. All they had to say was, initially they said he was friends to Putin, all right? That's not going to fly. So later on they come up and say, the company that he owns shares with, that produces the steel company, all right? So there is a possibility that the steel from the company is being used to build the tanks, that is being used in Ukraine. That is a silly notion. There's no one that can prove it. I can't believe that someone like Simon Jonda, that was the only argument he had when he was running his mouth against Chelsea Football Club. That was the only argument he had, an argument that can be debunked at any moment. But because there is no one to debunk it, so they went ahead. Same thing happened with the BBC Panorama on Dirty Money. They had that documentary done long time ago, but they could not hear it because they know Roman is there to challenge it. All right. And they also knew that he won recent court cases connecting him or linking him to Russia. That was why I wasn't scared at the beginning, because I know he already won some court cases, even though it was against some individuals, not directly against the British
Yeah,
government.
I remember that
Yeah.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, but the arguments remain the same. The assertion of both parties, whether it's the government or individuals that want to vilify this innocent man, remains the same. And this argument can be won in the court of law. But there is no, there is no opportunity for him to do so. That was why the Tory and the Labour, they came together and decided to seize his property. That was the word. Yes, that term that Boris Johnson used, seized. We've come up together to look for a way to seize property. And you can see the smirk on his face. He was, gloating over it, like he loved it, that they could have the power to seize the property. So in terms of Roma going around and trying to hold peace, that's just natural to him. When he came to buy Chelsea, I looked into his record as governor of Coachila. So I know that this man is a very good person. I thought he was just one of those people that embezzle the land and just come in there and want to do whatever he wants. Okay, even when he quit as governor of Coachila, I felt for the people there because I know they were going to miss a great person. So they have nothing on this man. They have nothing. Chris Bryant, that brought that stuff up on Parliament, I've been on his Twitter since yesterday when this news came out. Anyway, I've been on his Twitter for long, but since yesterday, people have been on his Twitter. Simon Phillips, everybody, Absolute Chelsea. Now he's nowhere to be found. He didn't want to make any comments regarding this no more. You see? So it's witch hunt, bro. And here we are.
Yeah, I get your point. Stop coming to you. Can you talk about the guy that LSU talked about, how all Chelsea fans and Absolute Chelsea were on him? I think he's probably temporarily, disabled his Twitter account. What do you think about that?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who do you say? Chris Bryant?
Chris Bryant, the Labour MP that raised the motion for Roma to be sanctioned.
So they were on his Twitter account bombarding him with messages, and he disabled his account. Was that what happened?
No, initially he left Twitter and then he came back. You understand? There was nowhere to be found and he can't respond no more. So a lot of Chelsea fans are onto his case on Twitter.
Yeah, Sam, what do you think about Chelsea fans doing that? Do you think it will have
I was on it.
Sorry, you went to?
Yeah, I went on and criticised him. Right, the guy has no place to talk. Right, he has his own issues. Right, but I'm sorry to argue with LSG. Right.
That's why we're here. We don't have to all agree with each other. Go ahead.
There is no conspiracy between Labour, right, and the Conservatives to get Roman out. Right, Labour are only interested, right, in having a go at the Conservatives, criticising their policies, their actions, etc., etc., and then the Conservatives have responded by sanctioning oligarchs, right, to shut up Labour. Okay, there's no conspiracy. Let's get out of this conspiracy lark, right? Yes, there is an issue with one side of Parliament, right, that is using Roman as a political football, and stop going on and saying, right, that they've seized his property. They haven't seized his property. They've frozen his assets. They haven't seized his property.
Okay.
Right? And when the thing is finished, Roman will still be able to have his house and sell it if he wants to. Right? The only issue with Chelsea is it's high profile, right? And it puts the thing in the media. And I don't care. I'm going to say this now anyway, right? It deflects.
Sam, can I say this? Can you care about the channel? Care about the channel at least, please.
Yeah, I care about the channel. I think I've proven it often enough that I care about the channel, right?
Yeah, then you don't want them to shut us down.
Well, they're not going to
That's the
shut you
thing.
down, right? Because
Okay, go ahead.
they're not going to shut you down. If I keep quiet and let LSG keep coming out with these conspiracy theories, you will get shut down, right? There is only an agenda from one side to criticize the other, and the other side to use Roman, right, as a deflection. That side that's using Roman as a deflection does it all the time. Okay, for every single thing. Now, just before the invasion, shall we say, I'll call it the invasion, right? This one side had its own agenda regarding certain things that happened during COVID, where they were laying down laws and they weren't adhering to them themselves. They needed a deflection. That's the way they get into power, and they stay there by using deflection tactics. Roman is a deflection. It's not a conspiracy between both sides. There's more than two parties in Parliament, right? It's not a conspiracy. It's a deflection. So let's just leave it there. I've tried to point this out 100 times, and LSD keeps going back to it's a conspiracy. There's no conspiracy. It's a deflection, right? That's why they won't care that Roman's involved in peace talks, because they want to continue the deflection. They could have closed the club down altogether. They didn't have to issue a license. Right? They issued a license to allow it to continue.
All right. Thank you very much for that comment, Stav. I appreciate that.
Before you move on, bro, I'll have to respond to that. All right. Because what you're saying there, all right, saying there's no conspiracy, it doesn't matter what terminology you are going to use in this scenario. The fact is that two political parties conspire to take his property.
No, they didn't.
No, stop. Just let him finish. Just let him finish. Let's move on, please.
In sense of using the word seize, there is an ITV Sky News interview of Boris Johnson using the exact same word.
Where do you live in the UK? Where do you live in the UK?
All right, stop. Can you let him finish? Let's just move ahead, please. I want to keep it in the way that we'll talk only how this whole situation affects Chelsea. We're still there. Go ahead, LSG. Are you through?
Yeah, no, I'm not through. I don't know why you're asking where I live. Yeah, if you must know, all right. If you must know where I live in South London. All right.
Yeah, where?
All right.
And honestly, I don't like how this is no. We shouldn't be asking each other where they live. It's irrelevant. Where he lives is irrelevant.
Exactly.
Go ahead, LSG. Please round up. Let's move on.
It's what I'm saying, man. Come to shouting if you want to look for me. All right.
All right.
I don't want to look for you.
Now,
I don't want to look for you.
Please let me finish.
I don't want to look for you.
Stop. Can you let him finish?
You're talking garbage.
What you're doing here, all right? You came in here to assume the same position that someone like Matty Keon is saying, the same position of a Samuel Jordan.
Oh, listen, don't accuse me of that, you knob.
You are only
all right, can I say something? I'm going to remove the two of you, and I'll bring you guys back when you guys come down. Pierre, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. Maybe when they come down, I'll bring them in because it's turned into a shouting match. So, Pierre, I'm going to go through the chart, and then I'm going to ask you another question. We would not get to a championship of Europe plus number of Premier League titles without Roman Abramovich. I couldn't agree more with you. So let me see if I have any other comment here. This one says Roman was not going to mediate for peace because he wanted his sanctions reversed. He's using his good office to bring peace and two brothers. Remember, Vladimir in Russian. Okay, I'm not sure if do you understand that comment completely because he used I think Russian right in there. Do you understand that?
I don't speak Russian. I only done a few words in Russian when I was over there.
Okay.
I know how to say please and thank you, but I don't speak Russian.
Okay.
But, he's just doing different spellings of the name. Just like the names of Lenin and various other things, what the Ilish and all those other terminologies. Obviously, Joseph Stalin, they adopted names a lot of the time. Shorter their names weren't Stalin and Lenin. but obviously he's just basically putting an alternative spelling for Vladimir. And he's also using the Cyrillic Russian alphabet there on the right.
Yeah, that's why I got confused, because I'm not sure what he's trying to say there. But you get my point.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I travelled on the metro system in Moscow, and it's great. You get an underground map just like you do in London, and it tells you where the stations are. And then when you actually arrive at them, you suddenly see that the map you've been given by the in-tourist board, because obviously I had to be controlled when I was over there. I couldn't just wander around where I wanted to back in the 1980s in the Soviet Union. You see that your map has got the English alphabet, or the Greek alphabet rather. And then you see that the actual stations are in Cyrillic, so you can't actually match the station to the actual name you've got on the map unless you can actually see them, unless they have the same number of letters, which is what I used. You had to try and find one that had 5 letters. I was trying to find Red Square, and obviously it was Red Square on my map, but it wasn't like that on the map. So so as I say, I have been around Moscow and Leningrad, or St. Petersburg as it is now, and various other places, but the only thing I can refer back to with LSG about his argument is that to say that there is no connection between Putin and Abramovich would be totally incorrect. There has to be a connection when someone is that rich. He wouldn't have been invited by Vladimir Putin to represent Russia in their bid for back in 2018 when there were
the prayer for the World Cup.
He has been relied on by Putin. You don't ask someone to represent or something like that if there isn't any connection. How strong that connection is, I'm going to say, well, he's not going to be the most important person in Vladimir Putin's close-knit thing, but but he's certainly going to be relied on for certain things, and he's certainly got Putin's agreement to take part in these Turkish peace talks, regardless of the fact that he might have faced an attack. So there is going to be a connection, and I won't go about the dirty money panorama. That was all old news, which he quite rightly says there was nothing new in that documentary that Panorama brought out that we didn't know already. So I have watched all of that. That just clarified that the BBC just decided to stick a program in to talk about how he got his billions and stuff like that, which is rather old news. But
no, we shouldn't be even talking about that. Yeah.
Well, the BBC? We're not allowed to talk about the BBC. I was avoiding anything to do with the government.
I think. Go ahead. If you were still talking.
Don't know what.
Sorry, go ahead, Pierre.
I don't know what question you wanted to answer.
Yeah, I'll come back to that. And I wanted to say you made a great point. Again, it wouldn't make sense to argue that he doesn't have ties to Putin, because the fact is he was once a governor there. And the fact is there's some other points you mentioned I don't want to go back to again. And the fact is he's no opposition to him, but that doesn't mean he's also party to the whole invasion process. We must also establish that, but that's by the way. And I want to say welcome to the panel to Nick Blue. Again, if you want to join the panel, the link is in the chat so we can continue the conversation. And I'll be looking for comments in the chat regarding how the whole situation, impacts, affects Chelsea Football Club, or however you want to phrase it. I'll be looking at that. Let me go through some of the comments here. This is the bagger saying, hit the like button, people, and subscribe to the channel. If you were new, that's important to us. Liking the video helps us reach more people, while subscribing helps the channel grow. We recently hit the 1,000 subscriber milestone, and that's good. And thank you to everyone who's been a part of the process. True, Pastor. Let's see what else we have in the chat here. Each and every politician all around the world are just liars. Okay, again, that's your opinion. Tabaga says 27 people, 13 likes. Please, guys, support the channel by hitting the like button. Yes, please do so. We have about 28 people watching. Please do like the video and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Yes. Let's see any other interesting thing here to look at. Let the channel grow. Being Yeah, it's extremely rare we talk in this way. 99% is pure Chelsea. Yes, we don't talk politics. It's just that the situation is aligned with politics that it's hard to avoid it. Wise people, okay. Yes, let me see what else we can read here. And this is stuff. I have supported the club for 52 years. Don't accuse me of taking. Okay, right. Let me see. I just avoid them completely. Saves my heart. Yep, it does. Mikhail says it was a political conspiracy fed by the existing, I don't know that word, distrust of the oligarchy. They took preemptive action to sanctions. I think that could be the case. The bailout to being government-funded agency, but avoid saying the same to BBC. Okay. Sanctions will not hold up in court, yeah, but the process will do Chelsea a lot of damage. Had Roman gone through that path. Hit the like button, yes, please do. So coming to you, Nick Blue, what do you think about the whole situation? The news that Roman has been poisoned.
Yeah, I have a lot of points to make.
Mm.
It's disgusting what they try to do to him. They basically try to kill him. They don't do it for nothing. That's the first point. And I understand what Stav said is, what you said is true about the Brian and the Labour Party, making Johnson put those sanctions in. Yes, true as well. And I understand LSD as well. But what I don't understand is, well, you live in South London, LSD. Why wasn't you at the bridge when I was begging everyone to come there?
How are you sure he wasn't there?
Yeah, where was he then?
Do you know everybody? Let me ask you this, Nick. We're just having a conversation. I hope my questions are not coming across as insulting to you. Do you know everybody? Did you recognize everybody that were the people that were at the bridge that day?
10 people were there with me, and I knew every single one. All right. And anyway, we should have acted before. I keep saying it. We let Roman down like Saint Peter let Jesus down, where he denounced Jesus. It's the same bloody thing. I know I shouldn't be swearing, sorry. But
go ahead.
Thing as denouncing Roman. That's what these so-called Chelsea fans have been doing. And now these poisonous things come up. They're all trying to, back Roman. It's too late. Roman's had enough. He ain't going to wait for us fans to stick up for him anymore, because we didn't.
Yeah. Okay, LSU, do you have anything to say to Nick with the question he asked? He said you live there and he didn't see you at the stadium when he was calling for people to show up.
First of all, I've not been to the bridge since the COVID stuff happened. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Since we started playing empty stadium, I've not been to the bridge. All right. But as far as this protest is concerned, even one of the live show I was going to ask when Nick was pushing for singing Roman's name and all that, I was going to ask, where will you be, in one of these matches? I was going to ask, but he escaped me. All right. So now I'm going to ask you, yeah, when do you think the protest will be possible? Yeah, let's organize and you'll meet me there. Tell me, Nick. Tell me when you think it's possible.
Yeah, but it's no good. Wait, we should have done this at the beginning, LSG.
No, the beginning was very, very rough. All right, the beginning was very rough. There was mixed emotions.
Okay, I think this is a conversation that you guys can connect and have a private conversations about this.
You're right. We should do a protest.
Yeah, you can reach out via the private. You can reach out via the private chat. Exchange your Twitter handle so that you can DM each other, and because this is not a show to plan that. I know it's important. If need be, we need to protest what we don't like, because our concern is to make sure we wish the best on our club. So if we see something that's going to cause us tarnish the image of our club or cause us problems, we protest. in a good way, peaceful protest, by the way. So I think you two, if you don't mind, Nick, you can use the private chat to exchange, or whether Twitter or how you can reach each other. LSG, what do you think?
Let me finish my point.
Yeah. I'll have to. I think I jumped on Twitter. When was that? I think I
I have.
set up Twitter 2 days ago. I only just go there as a visitor, as a guest. I'd never had an account. I only go there as a guest.
Right.
But I set
I think you should. I think you should.
Part.
If you want to be active in the community, I think you should, so that we can always communicate. Yeah.
I set it up primarily because of that Chris Bryant guy. I wanted to respond to him. Yeah, that was why I set it up.
All right. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts, Nick Blue.
Yeah. It's good to hear that, LSG. We will do that.
Mm.
And the other thing is, now, things have been proven. Roman is out there trying to stop the war, as we all know. And everyone knows in this country what he's trying to do. So on the news, it's he's even showed him on the news with the Turkish president with the peace talks. So, they can't come around if we start a protest and say, oh, you're with Putin. That doesn't make sense. And if they want to try and do that, let them try it. Because we have more voice than them right now. You know what I mean? So
okay, remember, less politics, please.
About time we stuck up for, the great man himself. That's what we have to do.
All right. So I want to go through the comments again, and then I'll come back to you guys. This is Mikhail saying the conspiracy is against the target of unfounded unilateral declaration of guilt by association. Pierre, can you talk about this comment on the screen?
Guilt by association.
Yes.
There must have been a conversation previously to that, and there must have been other statements or so. We've already covered whether there was a conspiracy or not. No conspiracy about why Roman Abramovich was sanctioned or not. I think what was expected by certain people, I'm not saying it would have stopped him being sanctioned or not, was that the fact that, and this was evident by the first responses from Chelsea Football Club, etc., was that there was supposed to be some sort of announcement that they were against the war or something. Something, not just victims or so of the Ukraine invasion, but actually a denouncement of the war, which would therefore be anti-Russian statement. I think the recent episode, because I think it was earlier on in March, I can't remember which date exactly, 4th of March, I think they're sort of talking about for this poisoning that's now, the news has come out. You would have to say that if Roman Abramovich, I can imagine the club could have made a statement, but it could have then still been attached to him. If Roman Abramovich himself said that he was against the war, he was against Vladimir Putin's decision, etc., I think he would be, I don't think he would have just been poisoned and survived. He would probably be dead, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that's a good. Go ahead.
And if I put myself in Roman Abramovich's shoes, I would not speak out against the Russians openly, because it's almost a death sentence to do that. If you have a high role, you're a billionaire, you're well known. They're capable of killing people, as we know.
Yeah. So let's just try as quickly as possible and switch the topic strictly to football, because I think this is really causing unnecessary friction here, and I really do not like that, and I know you guys don't like that either.
Well, yes, but if you're talking about why he's sanctioned or not and what he needed to avoid it, we have to mention it a bit without going to too much depth.
We could.
I'm trying to avoid who would decided on the sanctions or not, but I'm just basically saying that, if we're talking about the Russians and what they're capable of doing, then I think that's really, Roman Abramovich is human. He's going to have a survival thing, that he's not going to say anything out of turn that is likely to endanger his life.
So let me read this. I think this is a conversation they're having there, but I think it's important we look at it. Then I'll come back to this. Maybe they will help us switch the topic to to strictly football. It doesn't matter if one side did it or not. This is the sanctions. Those in power conspired against Chelsea FC and its ownership to make headlines more than a stop a war. LSG, let me bring you in. Can you please speak about this and not, letting it drag you into, the path of politics?
Just like Pierre said, there's no way, you're going to discuss this, without not diving or making references in some sort of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So on his link, yeah, like he was governor of a state, of a province, all right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, every past governance, the way Russia's system works, there will definitely be some sort of regard for them. It's like a political dignitary. That's how I see Roman Abramovich. All right. So there's no evidence that he's been or ever said under his cabinet. And the friendship they talk about, the real person that made him rich was Yeltsin. Okay. So that was who he bought seedmen from. So I don't see where they're, the only connection they can draw is the fact that they see pictures with him or videos with him having meetings. He's an oligarch, all right? He's a governor, a former governor. So there's no doubt he will hold such power, or to relate. But when to connect him to this war, in any form or fashion, it's just a conspiracy, all right? Is coming down the line, from the sanctions. And again, talking about, the MP and other people is saying, just condemn Russia, just condemn it. There's no way he's going to do that. If not just protecting his life. He still has families living in Russia. He still has family members living in there. They could be poisoned. Anything can happen to them. Okay, so he decided to take a different route to try and solve this situation. That was not good enough for the powers that be. And they went ahead to punish us. So as far as I'm concerned, even if they wanted to go ahead and punish this man for all he's done, yeah, we'll leave them for God, all right? We'll leave them for a higher power to deal with, okay? But leave my club out of it. Leave my club out of it. If one MP is pushing for the sanctions on our great club, another MP should have stood up and defend and say, no, we cannot do that. Doing that will bring undue advantage, to other football rivals, okay? Because Chelsea will not have the ability to compete on the highest level, okay? There should be MPs to discuss and debunk whatever Chris Brandt was saying, but there was none. Not a single one of them. You see, so that's where I have an issue. Okay, so had it been someone came in there to his defense, I'm sure this sanction would have gone through. Okay, so it was just a hogwash, saying, oh, we discussed it, blah, blah, blah. Who are you going to hold? If Chelsea fans say we are not going to vote for Labour, all right, so who are you going to vote for? Is it Conservative that actually brought about the sanction? This is where my dilemma is. You get it? So I know Chris Brandt is in Cardiff, so that's in Wales.
Okay, let's try. Let's try as much as we can not to name names. Just refer to them in a way that we understand who you're talking about.
He's a corporate. He's a corporate. So I'm not naming him, in a negative way. Yeah, obviously he's wronged us as a club. All right, but these are the people that he's not hiding. He's not hiding from it. He's taking responsibility of what he's done. Okay, and it's a matter of fact. He's gloating. He's proud of what he's done. Okay, so that's why I will not allow any person to come in here and gaslight Chelsea fans to say, oh, there is no conspiracy against you. Everything is fine. Move on. Nothing to see here. Walk along.
Yeah. Coming to you. Yeah. Coming to you. Before I go to Pierre, Nick, your thoughts on this comment on the screen. Just can we stop? Let's try. That is as much as we can to avoid, aligning the comments to any political group. Just try to reference them however way you can, but don't strictly say their name. That would be perfect for me. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. Well, it was Mikhail saying.
It says it doesn't. Mikhail says, I think this is in response to he's having an argument with Stav in the chat. He says it doesn't matter if one side did it, political party. He's saying, or both. Those in power conspired against Chelsea FC and its ownership to make headlines more than stop a war. I'm not saying don't name names. We know the parties already. Don't name them.
Yeah.
Just however you want to reference them, do so without naming names because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, I understand. Sorry about that. Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, Miko is right there. And we don't want to name names, but they've been against us, for years past. Since I can remember going to Chelsea, and that's a long time ago. They've been against us, our club, for some reason or another reason. Always been against us, and they still are. That's what you saw. All the MPs. No one stood up, like AOSG said. No one stood up to say, leave Chelsea alone. It's nothing to do with Chelsea Football Club, because they don't want that. They want us to they want us not to survive. They all, it's always been like that. They have agendas. The media and the people in power have agendas against us. We know that. But I'm very angry because we didn't stand up for Roman. That's that's what I'm angry about. And the club, I'm a Chelsea through and through, as you know. And I don't care whoever owns the club eventually. I'll still be there. I'll be going to Chelsea. It doesn't matter. I'll support Chelsea Football Club at the end of the day. But for these things, what happened to Roman is out of order. We should have had if we didn't have a protest, we should have one now. The sooner the better, because the government won't have nothing to say because they're wrong. They got everything wrong. Them and the media for that.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I think I like the way I think your comment is very clean. I like it that way. It's good not to name names, so I'll keep it as as clean as possible so we don't get into trouble here. Pierre, coming to you, what do you think about the comment on the screen?
What about I don't want to use the word about conspiracy about Chelsea. Roman Abramovich, as people said, he's not responsible for the war. There's only one person who's responsible for the war.
And we know who that person is. Let's just put it that way.
We know that, but we know that is. But it's the fact that he's down as a Russian. We're not going to go back to which part of the Soviet Union he was. His mother was born, and he might have been born in, etc. He was a governor in Russia, and he's been sanctioned with his association as being a fellow Russian and a rich one, and along with many other Russians that are very rich. They've all been sanctioned, and that's the way it is. It's not. He's not the only Russian oligarch to be sanctioned. There's loads of them in that the UK sanctioned, and it's just unfortunate. He's not the cause of the war, but he's suffering, and and as fans, we're suffering because he Chelsea FC is one of his assets has been frozen, though we have got a license to operate. And even if the sanctions were withdrawn, I don't think he would return anyway. I think he's made his mind up to sell.
Okay, we'll talk about that, and thank you for that input. This is staff saying, Mikhail, misinformation spotted by LSE gives a false impression as to the reason Romana was sanctioned. His assets have not been frozen. Okay, that's you. The EU had the chance to stop a war when Russia said no more. Yeah, okay. I love Chelsea Football Club with all my heart. I do love Chelsea Football Club too, my brother, and that's a good one there. It is for one side, how is it conspired? And this is just a conversation between the two. Seized or frozen, the result is intimidation, strong arm tactics to force a sale of the club. I think that's a good argument there. I like that one, no matter how you see it, whether seized, whether frozen, it's still a tactics to force the guy to sell the club. But let me ask you this, Pierre, do you think it was really a tactic to force him to sell the club?
I don't think there was any tactic. I think you'd be sort of giving intelligence to the UK government to actually say that they did anything with intelligence or with any reason. You know, whether it's a knee-jerk reaction from the when Zelensky was talking to Parliament, and they said, right, we need to sanction a few more Russians. We need to step up our sanctions. There was no thinking further ahead than the actual sanctions themselves. I mean, sanctioning someone means, you know, you're freezing assets. But the offshot was immediately when they sanctioned Roman Abramovich, the effect was, well, but that's going to affect a football club. So that's why this operating license came in very quickly, that, you know, the assets have been frozen, but the club will be able to continue at least to the end of the season. And that was brought in very, very quickly. And certain people, I'm not going to mention names, talked about the cultural heritage, etc., and tried to appease the fact. And, you know, you do something and say, we're not trying to affect the fans, etc. But, you know, in all intents and purposes, you can't just freeze people's assets and not expect a knock-on effect. So I don't think there was any, you know, there wasn't any long-term thinking to the actions. They did the actions, and then suddenly said, this has some consequences. If we do this, we need to quickly stick in some licensing, you know, this license to operate, which has been modified a few times. You know, they've tried to do things, and which has now resulted in tickets can now be sold, etc. But you know, it wasn't done to directly hurt Chelsea, even though we feel it does.
Yeah, and thank you for clarifying that. And I'm going to come back to you in a bit, Pierre. Let me start with LSC, and then I'll go to Nick Blue. And again, if you want to join the panel, the link is in the chat. Now, the question is, that's the most, I think that's the final question, and we'll try to switch to strictly football if in fact it is possible. The question is, let's assume, given the poisoning incident, and given the fact that Zelensky reached out to the U.S. government and asked them not to sanction Roman, and they at this point haven't sanctioned him, if the UK government lifts the sanction on the man, do you think there's any chance that he'd decide to keep the club? That question is for you, LSC.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I don't see him keeping the club. You know, they've done on him so much now. You know, they've treated him in the worst way possible. If he was someone else, you know, a different nationality, it doesn't even have to be English. You know, if he was a different nationality other than the dreaded ones, you know, this guy deserves an OB or MB or whatever, you know, from the Queen. He should be celebrated, not vilified, you know. And as for, you know, standing up for him and what he's done for us, you know, I'm still going to say this to Nick, you know, it's never too late. As a matter of fact, I think this is the best time for us to actually raise our voice, because this time there's no way they can interpret it as being against the war. I mean, being for the war, pro-Russia. There's no way they're going to interpret that. Okay, because we're coming in there, probably I don't even care putting on Ukrainian flag or whatever. But
let me clarify something quickly.
Speak.
This is just Viola saying where Stav and Stribia says hope he comes back soon. It's up to Stav. He has the link to the panel. I think right now he's just pissed because he had an argument with LSG. So that's why, and I had to remove them both because both of them didn't listen. I had to remove them both so that we can continue the conversation in peace. And LSG remained because he wanted to join back. So it's up to Stav if he wants to join or not. So you go ahead.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I'm not here to cause a problem or cause fight. You know, I'm just
no problem. That's nobody here to cause a fight. I think it's just
you know.
I think the fact is we can have a civilized argument, conversation, or debate if you prefer. Again, it depends on how individuals, different people take things differently. I don't know, but whatever it is, I think we've moved beyond that.
On the issue at hand, I don't think he should come back. I don't want him. I don't want him to even come back, although I would love it, but I don't want him to come back, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't want that. I don't because I don't want him to come back here. I like to come back to decide not to sell the club. Like I've argued before, if I were him, I'd sell the club because the fact remains, whenever conflicts arise, as long as Russia is involved, I think he will be targeted. Coming to you, Pierre, do you think there's any chance? Let's assume the UK government decides to lift the sanctions, and that's a chance for him to keep the club. Do you think he'd do that?
No, because if we go back to before the sanctions, I mean, he had his visa revoked back in 2018 or so. So he's hardly been to Chelsea Football Club in that time because he's got restricted access to the country, and he's had to take out. He's tried to get round it a bit by getting Israeli citizenship and Portugal passport, etc. Though I know Portugal trying to revoke that, or it seemed to be from the EU. They were wondering how he got a Portugal passport, or reflecting on whether they should have given him a Portugal passport. But yes, he's got other methods of getting into the United Kingdom without a visa, because he's now got all of these other Israeli citizenship, etc. But he was immediately targeted from events. I would say much more harshly than a war, because someone gets poisoned in Salisbury, and you turn around and say, well, what do? We'll revoke his visa. And there's no way that Roman Abramovich was involved in that poisoning in Salisbury. So again, he was picked on for being Russian. Something happens, let's take action against Russians that we have in this country. So again, his access in and out was restricted. He didn't attend. So I know that LSG is talking from a sort of a emotional viewpoint, but and that's not to have an argument with him, but he does know full well that there's no way that Roman Abramovich could ever receive an OBE or MBE. He's not part of the Commonwealth, and he's not British. He can't get any of those Queen's Awards. So I'm just pointing that out. Whether you feel he should have an OBE or MBE, it's not possible.
Yeah, thank you very much for explaining that. More the thought of a fight. People want to see Stav and LSG fight, but we have to behave like we're civilized. So I had to stop that one. So I think it's about time we switch our topic now. Or Nick, do you have any final thoughts on the poison incident, or and what you think, and anything else from you?
Yeah,
Nick.
Yeah. We all would love to have Roman back. I can't see any Chelsea fan who doesn't want him back. But they've done too much to him. Everyone, the country, the government, even Russia, they've done too much bad to him, and he will never come back. He's had enough, like I keep saying. He's had enough of this government and everyone, and he will never come back to Chelsea, I'm afraid. But as a fan, he will always be a fan. I'll guarantee. So you never know. One day we will see him at the bridge as a fan again. That'd be something special if that happens. But in the meantime, like LSG said, it's never too late. It's never too late for anything in this world. So get off your backsides, Chelsea fans, and start your voices, make your voices heard for the club. For the club mostly, if you are real Chelsea fans, and for Roman, because he deserves our backing, and he'd be glad to hear our voices. I'm telling you. So he is very wrong about a lot of things. I have to say that to you, Pierre, because you don't have a clue what it's like to be a real Chelsea fan. And because what I've been hearing from you is all negative talk. That's what I have to say for now.
Yeah, and you can drop your Twitter handle on that is via the private messaging space, so that LSG will get it and then reach out to you as soon as possible, so that you guys can coordinate like you wanted him to do before. So LSG, coming to you, any final thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, Like everyone has said, we don't think he's going to come back. We don't want him to come back and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But on the issue of him not being honored because he's outside of the UK, I mean outside of the Commonwealth, and he's is the fact that it's Russian. I don't think that is true, because there's actually a Russian that was given the title the Baron of Hampton in Siberia. That's I think Lebedev. Yevgeny Lebedev, yeah, is one example I can cite from the top of my head, who is actually a Russian and was given a title by the Queen. Not long ago, probably
So
about 2 or
LSC,
3 years ago.
any final thoughts on the topic at hand? Just you
No,
should. I
we're
don't
still
think.
related. Yeah, we're still related on that. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
the fact that this guy is being targeted, all right, and Chelsea is also being targeted. So no one can convince me otherwise. We've seen the records. I can say since Aspi has been here at this club, I can point to maybe we've lost about 8 to 9 titles. Yeah, about 8 to 9 finals, 8 to 9 trophies. Yeah, and I can attribute referee decisions to about 6 of them. Bad referee decisions. So we see it all the time. We see this campaign, and we see the people we have in the media. I think going forward, we need a board that will be strong enough, yeah. That, just imagine, I don't even know what their role is at this moment. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
people like Bruce Buck and the rest, that you cannot go and relate with the government. Some of the fines that Chelsea, some of the punishment that Chelsea receive all the time. We know this. There are videos on the internet documenting all this. Okay? So we don't have people in the media, we don't have people in government, we don't have people anywhere, we don't have people nowhere to defend us. We've said this on this stream before. I think that is the crux of the issue here. Because if people in the media are taking our position right now, that will become a dominant narrative and everyone will go along with it. That's how it works. That's how it
All right.
works.
Thank you. Okay, Stab, you win. You left on your own. Fine. Thank you. Now I'm gonna go. I'm gonna come to you. Any final thoughts on the poisoning incident and the whole thing we've talked about on that particular topic before we move on?
Well, I mean, obviously, Nick Blue had some things to say. I don't see where I was negative, and obviously, any accusations of not being a true Blue, obviously, I'm going to, not agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
My opinions or so were more on my background, and obviously, having part Russian blood in me, and therefore knowing about the situation in Russia or the Soviet Union in the past. So I was giving my viewpoints on that. I don't think I was trying to come across anything negative about Chelsea Football Club.
Mm-hmm.
Can I reply to Pierre, Coach?
There's no need going back and forth. There's no need going back and forth. You understand why, Nick? We don't want to make it a fight. We're just trying to be as civilized as possible.
He's allowed to come back. We're not having a fight.
All right, go ahead, Nick.
We're Chelsea fans, Pierre. I'm not having a fight with you. I just want to, it doesn't get to my head why, from the beginning, Chelsea fans didn't turn up when they should have. That's what he's getting to me. You understand?
I can understand, but to be fair, and you would know from the same position, when he was sanctioned, it was literally Wednesday to Thursday. Where were the Chelsea fans able to have there was no sort of determination. There was no suggestion he was going to be sanctioned until the day he was sanctioned.
Yeah,
so
but
I think
that
caught us out.
That week, it was Tuesday, he was sanctioned. And Friday, we had a Peter Benet's memorial coming on Friday. So I was waiting from Tuesday for everyone to turn up after the memorial. And what happened? 10 people turned up. That was a disgusting disgrace. That's what I'm saying. We had time. If they really wanted to, like we did at the Super League, they could have been there. But everyone was, wait a minute, everyone was scared what the government might think. That's what the problem was.
Yes, and as you well know, well again, there's no fighting here. But as you well know, that if more people had turned up, the media would have slammed Chelsea fans for being disgraceful. And you know that, what the media would have done.
Media dictate all the time. We have to stand up for ourselves.
But yeah, but even singing at the football ground, it's been regarded as not in good taste. That's the words. We forget about it. Roman's name being sung during the Ukraine national anthem. Outside of that, singing through the match, people have just said, "Isn't that disgraceful behaviour?" And we're going to be victims on this.
Yeah, but now
all right. See, one thing I like about this conversation between you two, you understand. Go ahead.
Look, now everything's come to light. Everyone knows what he's trying to stop this bloody war. We all hate.
Mm-hmm.
With children being killed every day. He very bad because I've the same situation in Cyprus, and I've seen people killed and my cousins killed. And I've seen it in 1974. But it gets to me. But now it shows the government are wrong. They've done it for a different question. They didn't do it because Roman was involved with Russia. They done it just to make themselves big, like you said before. Who said it? LSG, like Labour. I mean, Staff said it. Labour wanted to make the government react, in any way they can, and that's what they did it. But now it's all out, which it's not too late, like LSG said. We can still go up there, even this Saturday when we're playing Brentford. That's a good time to go. But
all right, that's a great. I think I like it that how you and Pierre had this good conversation on how to go about the protest and whether it was possible in the first place. That is good to see, and that's how you act. We need to be civilized there. And the fact again remains. I always like to say this: we don't all have to agree, and there's no that possibility for all of us to agree. If we all agree, then we're not smart. But because we're all smart, there will always be an argument. But let's argue in a very civilized way. Respect each other's opinion. Express yourself. Say what you want to say, and don't come across as disrespectful to the other person. It doesn't help issues. We're gonna sound like we're not civilized, and then we'll not be making any sensible points if we continue to make it a fight rather than a civilized argument. I think I like the good. It's an argument too, but it was an argument between you and Pierre, and yet it wasn't a fight, and yet there's something to learn from it. There's something to learn from Pierre. Nick can learn from Pierre, and Pierre can learn from Nick, and we'll move on. And that's why we have smart people on the panel. So thank you for not making it something that it shouldn't be in the first place. So I think I've said, let me see what else. If I missed any comment here, I need to go back. Let me see. This is declared here. Cannot tell, but big up DJ, keeping your head low. I hope being associated with the club that's being used to fuel invasion and whatnot. Okay, that's it. And a great time says, so you still think the protests when the sanctions were dropped wouldn't have made any difference? I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to, but maybe someone else on the panel understands your point. Again, let me see if there's any comment here that needs to be addressed. I think I like this one here. Someone like Roman Abramovich would have been knighted if he were British. He's made Chelsea a global icon. Plus, he's done quite well for the British community and the global community as well. Your thoughts on that, Pierre?
Going about being knighted. I mean, going back to LSG about certain things about Bob Geldof, he's Irish, so therefore he's not British. Separate country. He has got an honorary knighthood, so you can have an honorary knighthood. What but mentioning about OBEs and everything, member of the British Empire, etc. That is generally restricted to British and Commonwealth countries. So, but you can get an honorary knighthood. So, if he deserved it, Roman Abramovich could get a honorary knighthood from the Queen.
Yes, if he deserved it, like you said. Again, before we continue, I'd like to say to everybody who's watching, whether on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube, please like the video if you haven't. We have just 20 likes, and this has it has fluctuated from 33 likes down to 20, 22. So we should have more likes so that the algorithm can push the stream to more people. And yeah, good comment there from Pastor Daniel. Unsung. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. It helps the channel grow. Yeah, that is Declared, who's already on the panel. And this is just via the hope and pray Roman stays safe. That's all. Yes, let's hope and pray that he stays safe. And this is DJ saying, it is my music name I use as my user. Okay. And this is Stav. Yes, Stav, I agree. You win. I didn't remove you. You went out on your own free will. Good. Thank you. And this is he's fine. He's in Turkey similarly, and that's good to know. Like I read also that the incident wasn't life threatening. He lost his sight, I think, for a few hours. They said or so like that. I'm not sure. Again, let's see if there's anything here again to read. Okay, as this comments here, I'll start with you. Declared this coming here says Chelsea forward Timo Werner and his advisor Volker's Truth are already planning to leave London. Neither the club nor Thomas Tuchel would put any obstacles in his way in the event of a good offer. Your thoughts, Declared?
How's everyone doing? I came because Nick Blue said he was starting a riot, so that's why I'm here. But I'll answer your chat question.
Just don't call it a riot, please.
If Nick Blue's around, it's a riot. Big protest.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I'm up for that.
That's it. If I was in London, it would be next to my name next to his advisory as well, helping him get out of here. And I'd say, get out of here, take your money, thanks. He's got to go. Like everyone lowers their standard when it comes to Werner, and even more so for Lukaku, which I've been arguing for a long time. No one understands that these guys are getting paid the most. You know, the three top players that are getting paid at our club, which is beyond everyone else, like a big leap of nearly 50, 60K, right? Top three is Lukaku, Kante, Werner. And you can say Kante deserved it because Kante built up to that. But Werner and Lukaku, please, then they're not our biggest players. They don't even start now. So they're our bench players and they're our highest paid. So just on their wages alone, they should be gone. Lukaku more than Werner because Werner, he's still just about to hit his peak. Or he needs to start the first levels of his peak, and maybe he hasn't adjusted well. But then he made those comments, which is, almost on the line of Lukaku, where you're trying to blame the system rather than yourself. I mean, your problem is that you can't convert. You've had heaps of chances. You've had so much chances that you've been a laughing stock to everyone. So whatever you can change the system, you can get everything. The only difference from Germany and Chelsea is Germany versus a lot of crap teams, where you get to score and you get a lot of time. That's the difference. If he wants to play on that level, go back to an easier league. Maybe you should go back to Bundesliga. Or maybe even go back to France or go back to, I mean, go China or something. Where if you wanna adjust your level, then all right, then this is too hard because that's basically what he said. So Werner, see you later. It doesn't even need to be a good offer. Just get his wages off the bill so that we can give those wages to someone more important in our team.
Stav, no disrespect to you, but you're standing to, I don't want to say anything that I know you get mad easily. I don't know where this comment is coming from. Again, if that's how you see it and you've decided you want to be off permanently, it's your choice, Stav. I'm not going to come to your house with beer or color to beg you to come back. I don't know where this comment is coming from. I am surprised at it. Nobody ever said it referred to you as stupid or anything. That's you. That's how you. If you, that's how you want to see it. I didn't say that, and I think. Well, I think it's irrelevant actually to even read it. I'll leave it on the screen. Let me see here. I am just saying everyone is guilty by association. Okay, I think we're done with politics. Pierre, your thoughts on the comment regarding Timo Werner's future?
I think declared has summed it up. Yes, he done pretty well scoring a goal for Germany, but then why blame the system at Chelsea? You know, he had a little dig. I just don't think that was wise to have a dig. Lukaku did that earlier on about the system and various other things, and making out statements about missing Inter Milan. I know that obviously if he does, you know, he talks to the Italian media, then things can be twisted. You know, I think the worst thing for them is to agree to talk to Italian media, because they're going to ask you questions about, do you miss life in Inter Milan, etc. And he's going to sort of say things which then can be saying, you know, he wishes to return back to Inter Milan. You know, so whether he meant it or not, it was unwise of him to do so. But Timo Werner, his comments, you know, he was probably overjoyed to score a goal for Germany, but to then sort of say, you know, that he gets more chances or whatever, or the system is letting him down at Chelsea, then we don't want negative vibes from players. We want, you know, he should adjust to the system. And he probably miffed that he's not playing week in, week out. And obviously, you know, there's different viewpoints that, you know, he is a secondary striker, not a primary striker. But, you know, we just don't want players speaking out. And yeah, some of them are likely to be on their way when the new owner comes in, and some of them are looking for ways out of the club, I would imagine. But I think really in this situation, I would want to hear players not speaking out at all and fully backing the club. You know, this sort of siege mentality that I think Mason Mount is saying, that, you know, since the sanctions taken place, that they have won all their games, and that should be the objective, to continue to, you know, it would be great if, you know, under these conditions that Chelsea get to the FA Cup final game, which they should do, beat Crystal Palace, and you know, hope and could still come out this season with an FA Cup and possibly reach the Champions League final, etc., and be competing for that. It would be great, and for that you need all the players to be in, you know, and know people saying things that can come across or be reported negatively.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, and I don't know how else to phrase it. I think it isn't really working for Timo at Chelsea Football Club, and it doesn't look like it will work, because every now and then we see him sparkle, and we'll start thinking, well, Timo is back, and then in a few days we start having issues again with him missing sitters and not looking like he wants to be part of the team. And again, okay, let me just breeze through this, the comment section, because at this point we'll let the participant in the chat, you know, drive the conversation. And alas, it's okay, I'm not sure what that means. And Declan, you don't really need to I'm not sure what Pulisic loves Chelsea. See him doing the one, and you claimed you put me out. Then smart people, look, Stav, if you want to go, please just go. Stop talking, please. And I hate being childlike. I hate childlike behavior, and I don't want to block you. I'm not into blocking. But please, you're really pissing me off right now, because I've tried to pamper you. I've tried to, you know, accommodate you, and how easily you get angry and get out. I'm not arguing who timed who out. I said you won. You went out on your own, and you said you're not going to talk. You're still talking. Stop, please. If you want to leave, just leave. Don't make it about conversation about how you're treated, because that's not the case. You're just making things up right now, and I really don't like it. And I don't want to go to the extent of blocking anybody. I don't. I appreciate all your effort and how you've helped the channel. I cannot deny that. But please don't make up things. It just sounds like we'll have children here, but that's not the case. I like Timo's so disappointed with this comment. I like him too because his goals, overall goals contributions last season was one of the reasons why we got to the Champions League final, and one of the reasons why we did as well as we did this past season. I don't want him to leave, but it isn't really working for him at Chelsea. And if it looks like he's gonna be better off being at other clubs, we might as well let him go, because it wouldn't be nice to keep him up, because we know every now and then we see flashes of brilliance from him. I don't think it makes sense. We should let him go where he can perform consistently. I don't want to read this comment again. Relax, mate, please. Please, Stav. Please don't go, Stav. We argue, but we always come back. That's one thing, Stav, you will never get Stav to understand. The Stav will always want the argument to be for him or nothing else. If you don't agree with him, he's not going to listen to what you have to say. And to him, I don't think he welcomes argument. That's one thing. I love Stav, but I have to say I've learned that he doesn't welcome opposing opinions. It's always how he wants it. That's up to him. If he wants to leave, he can leave. Again, I appreciate all he's done. Let me see if I have anything else. Yeah, I am pissed myself because I hate accusations like that. Nobody said anybody was stupid or doesn't know anything. So, LSC, your thoughts on the Timo Werner comment?
I really like the guy, and it's really sad to see what's been happening, the way his form has been, and all of that, But on the issue of him not being played in the best positions, I think this guy has been played in every single positions imaginable, from Lampard now to Tuchel. So, and he's missed so many chances for us. But on top of that, we still have some belief in him. We still have the hope that one day he's going to come true for us, With regards to the comments he made, I don't really like to blame players when they make comments like this, because this comes to the media, the journalist asking a question, the reporter asking a question. They always have a leading question. For example, we have Christian Pulisic, came, run into this kind of media problem. I think that was the last season or so, talking about, he's always trying his best all the time or something like that, But if you listen to the question that was asked of him, it was the way the question was led, So in our squad, I think I can only bring out like 3 people that know how to talk to the media. That would be Kovacic, Aspilicueta, and Mason Mount, in my opinion, that I've seen know how to talk to the media. Kai Havertz is not coming into that fold too, So he's adopting the siege mentality that is needed at this point in time, the way he talks to the media and all of that. But for Timo, he cannot even claim that he's been scoring for Germany, because he missed a lot of chances for Germany as well, So he could be right that Bundesliga would be the best option for him. I believe if he goes back to Bundesliga, he's going to score more goals, because there will be a lot of space for him to work with, And I also, we want him to go, despite how I feel about him, I still want him to go if he wants to, because I want an opening for Amadou Broha, because I know he's going to kill it in that position, So if he leaves our wage bill, that would be good. And bring in Broja, man. Bring in Broja.
Okay, I don't know if I've asked you your thoughts on that statement, Pierre.
Well, you asked me about Timo Werner.
Oh, have I asked you already?
If I'm following up on LSG's comments there about Brozier, then obviously he would be well aware of Luis Enrique's comments when Spain beat Albania recently 2-1, and he said that he basically said the guy's a beast. He's a new Didier Drogba or whatever terminology used, but he basically said that Brozier is the real deal as far as he was concerned. How he bullied the Spanish defence. It's a game that Spain would be expected to win and did win, but he was very impressed with him as a player.
Can I make a comment on Timo Werner, Coach?
Yeah, go ahead. And please, can you stop begging staff? And he's been bombarding me with private messages I don't want to talk about here. And he's already unsubscribed. That's fine by me. Stop talking about it. It just makes him... Listen, I respect Stav. I respect his knowledge. He's very knowledgeable of Chelsea Football Club. He's very knowledgeable about football overall. But I don't like somebody always threatening to leave. And now he's feeling like he's done the job work alone or for the channel. I love him, but if you cannot take arguments, then why be on the panel? You will have to be civilized about how we express our opinions. Everybody must not agree to what you say, and everybody must not say what you want to hear. You counter argument in a civil way, and don't call people names. It doesn't make sense. So if he's done, that's him. I don't care. I'm not going to be the one to blame him. And again, sincerely, I appreciate all that. I even told him personally, I don't know how to thank you. But if he feels like he's the reason this channel is, doing well, that's up to him. I appreciate all the work he's put in, but let him not feel like it must always be about him. That's not how it's done. Okay? Come on now. Okay, that's, by the way, I don't want to read anything about that again. Go ahead, say what you wanted to say, Nick.
Yeah. First of all, Stav, he's a bit upset now. I'm going to have a proper word with him later on, because he doesn't mean what he's saying right now. Anyway, forget that. Timo Werner, give him all the chance in the world we could give him. The crowd at Stamford Bridge, we were chanting his name when he was running up and down the sideline as a sub. When he came on, we tried to name more. We try to make him, confident. We try to make him, play better. But at the end of the day, he can't. That's his limit. So I ain't got no grudges about Timo because I love the guy when he came. But, he's not for Chelsea, I'm afraid. I think he sees that, he knows that, and that's why he's coming out with all these comments. So, I'd be sad to see him go, but we have to move on. We want to win trophies. So good luck to Timo. And, that's what I want to say about that, because as fans, we've done everything we could possible for him. I think you all agree with me there.
Yeah, and again, I'm really freaking pissed right now. I nearly dropped the F-bomb. I think I let this go so long. And again, there was even some people were calling for me to, I don't want to talk like children right now. I'm really pissed. I can't even put myself together because I'm so pissed at what just went on. It just doesn't seem like that's what it's coming from an adult or anybody, but I'm going to try and control myself. I'm pissed right now, and I don't think I would take such nonsense again on this channel, because right now he's feeling like he's the reason why where we are today. Showtime, welcome to the panel. What's your thought on everything we've talked about?
I missed the last segment in regards to who you're referring to, but first and foremost, good morning to you all. Good afternoon, wherever you're from. Big up Nick Blue, my OG right there. Hope all is well. I mean, the poisoning situation I was referring to when I said, don't you think the protest would have put an end to would even be a thought of poisoning Roman? The Timo Werner news, I mean, you can hear me smiling as I'm talking right now, because this is the best news we have heard in a while regarding our club. Timo Werner is on his way out. We are happy about that. We are excited about that. We're going to sing his name while he's taking his leave through the doors. Goodbye, Timo. Don't let the good Lord hit you with the good Lord split you. Arrivederci. Ciao. Bye-bye or dabo. Any which way you want to say bye to Timo in any language, say it to him because he's on his way out, and I'm happy to hear it. Back to Germany he goes with Frankfurts and all this stuff that they speak, Hagen dogs and all this rubbish. He's going. I'm happy. And happy birthday to N'Golo Kante, the best midfielder in the world. Nobody can debate that. Nobody can dispute that. We love you, N'Golo. We want you to retire here at Chelsea, and we want to build a statue outside the bridge for you because you're the best, and you will always be the best.
Yeah, again, I want to say, first of all, I want to say, Street Beer, don't feel bad. I did not remove him. Why am I even talking about this? I'm fucking pissed right now, I have to be honest. And I don't want to go further down that route because I don't want to block him. And again, you heard me say it like 10 times. I appreciate all the work. The fact that every time it's noon, 3 a.m. here for me, and it's noon for staff. Every time he comes on, every time I call upon, he comes. I respect that. And I respect all the efforts he's put in. But I think I let it go on so much that I should have stopped it for a while. I sensed it on time. But unlike me, I let it go on. And he's threatened before that he's going to stop coming on my channel if I let some people on. And I don't like that. Well, what smart people do is that you argue as civilized people. It must not be always what you want. And I am fucking pissed right now. And he's still bombarding me with private messages. I don't like that. That's not how adults behave. We're here to talk about Chelsea, and it must not always be about you. I'm going to let it fly, and I'm not going to even block him to where he has access to reach me. I'm just going to let him spill his mind off. Whenever he likes, he can come back because I appreciate all the work he's done. But the fact still remains, Stab, if you can hear me, thank you for all your efforts. Thank you for all you've done for this channel. But I am able to move on without you if that's what you like. I'm just pissed at your behavior today, and it didn't start today. Every time somebody counters your argument, you leave. I've tried my best, and you were able to surprise it. Just shut it, Chip. That's by the way. Now, go ahead. You were saying something. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Showtime.
Oh yeah, I was just saying. I mean, wow, I didn't know what was going on before I joined. I'm so sorry to hear what's going on.
Yeah, welcome to the stream, Showtime.
Appreciate that. I don't know who said that, but yeah, thank you about that.
It's Declared, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hey,
Mike
Declared.
Declared.
I didn't know it was you. How you doing? I mean, yeah, like I was saying, I'm happy. Good news came out today, finally. Timo Werner is on his way out. That's all I have to say. And happy birthday to the best midfielder in the world, N'Golo Kante. We love you, N'Golo, and we'll build a statue outside the bridge for you. I personally would donate the funds to do that.
All right, and thank you very much for that input. I think I'm going to try to round this as soon as possible because the more I get angry, it takes time for me to get really pissed. But when I do, I don't want to speak further. Phantom, welcome to the panel and your thoughts and everything we've talked about.
I just woke up. So if Timo Werner is leaving, I think that's good for him because he's been doing really well on the German team lately, and I think he fits in the Bundesliga really well. So, you know, why stick a round peg in a square hole or whatever the saying is, right? If he doesn't fit in here, he has to play in that same position that Pulisic and Cho and several others like that position that he plays in. So he's like not a second wheel, but he's the third wheel, right? Because he'd be behind Pulisic and Cho and Mount, and you know there's several other people that can play that position. And the other gentleman said Broja, it would be coming on, and that's true too, right? Broja can play the same position as him as well. So goodbye. As far as the other, I want to just say one more thing. As far as the other day, I'm not quitting Coachila perspective I'm not quitting your show, I'm quitting the team. So if I come on as a fan, it'll be as a Fulham fan, as an Arsenal fan, as a whatever fan. But if Ricketts gets the team, I'm a Chinese person, and I know he said some things about anti-Muslim, and I can let that fly because to be truthful, I can let that fly because I'm not Muslim, and I know that would anger some people, but that's no skin off my back. But if he says something bad about Chinese, now I have to fight. So that's the way I view it, and I'm glad that you allow other views because people who, I'm not saying Stav in general, I don't know him well enough. In fact, to me, he's pretty brand new here, in my opinion, because I've seen your show before without him. In fact, I've never even heard of him until I got back from London.
Just don't talk about it. Let's talk about
sorry. Okay. I'm not going to talk about that anymore.
Yeah, let's talk about let's move on, please.
Okay. Okay. So here's getting back to player talk then. Werner should go, Lukaku should go, not because they're bad people, not because they've made bad interviews or whatever, but simply because they don't fit here. They just don't fit, So, it's been long enough that we know that they don't fit. Yeah.
Here's where I agree with you. I think he if he goes back to Bundesliga, it would be good for him. If he remains in the Premier League, he will still struggle with the issue he's had as a Chelsea player, because the fact is, Timo Werner operates with a lot of space, and when there's no space, he hardly performs. Except if he can go to a team like Manchester City, where their teamwork extends.
Well, maybe he should go to Manchester.
That is in front of goal, that where he always get the chance to tap in, position himself very well, and tap in chances. I think that will help him, but I don't think they would want him. Going to a club like Newcastle, I think he will still struggle. I think he needs to go back to Germany. I think he would do well there. Your thoughts on that, Pierre?
Well, you mentioned about him requiring lots of space. I think the season beforehand, and certainly when he was playing with Lampard, certain teams do give him the space, especially the ones that play a high line. And if you take the number of chances he actually scored and VAR ruled his goal offside, that is the other issue. The number of times he's offside. He's got the pace. He doesn't need to be offside. If he sticks equal to the last defender or just behind the last defender, he's not offside. So he's definitely had opportunities to score more goals and hasn't taken them for one reason or another.
Yeah, and I think given that Timo himself made a statement saying Timo Werner didn't say bad about Chelsea. Yeah, that's good. But he said the German style suits him better because they have more creators than Chelsea. I think, to me, why the first that aspect, saying they have more creators than Chelsea, doesn't. I think that sounds disrespectful to some measure, if you ask me. Why would he say that? I don't think his teammates will like that. I don't think Thomas Tuchel will like that. I think again, yeah. Even though he didn't say anything about Chelsea specifically, but he left a room for people to draw conclusions. And to me, if you ask me, there's an insult to some measure to say because they have more creators than Chelsea, and then that makes you go back to start counting how many chances he's had to score as many goals as possible. But he fluffed quite a lot of them. Your thoughts there, Declan, on this comment on the screen?
Well, you kind of said it. It is a disrespect. I mean, how many chances he flopped? He doesn't have a leg to stand on. He's basically saying that he's not being given chances, as if he's converting so many, right? I don't know his conversion rate, but you've missed so many easy chances that the creation has been there. If there was more creation, you'd miss more. You're not the guy. You're not the go-to. You've missed so much. If you know what, if Werner started converting some of those goals, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Werner can play at this level if he converted. right? If he took that same conversion that he had at Bundesliga, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and he would be starting. But he does everything right. Well, not everything. Sometimes because he's really bad touch, but he does everything right, and he doesn't convert. He's fluffed a lot of chances. If anything, the creators in the team can blame him for not getting assist. That's what the creators can do. He doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Actually, I'd like to add something. He's actually not a bad creator for other people. I've seen him in the beginning when he was creating for Lukaku. He creates for Pulisic. He creates for Havertz. So maybe he should be on the other end. He should be the Hakim Ziyech role, where he's creating for other people rather than be the one that because it seems like he panics in front of goal, but as far as everything else is concerned, he has a lot more value than Lukaku does.
I beg to differ.
Go ahead.
I will actually say that
I know you're a Lukaku man. I suspected you were going to come in with an argument in that. Go ahead.
He dropped Lukaku's name, and I'm just like, we know what Timo was brought in to do. He was brought in to score goals, and then his role changed when Lukaku came in because Lukaku was supposed to be the primary goal scorer. But we all know that how that's turning out. Timo Werner
What was the role change?
Lukaku's the leading scorer on the team. So I don't know why.
No, you said Werner had a role change.
He had a role change. It wasn't for him to score goals anymore. It was for him to be able to make runs and run around like a headless chicken. That's what his role was to do.
Yeah, Werner was meant to come in as an inside forward anyway, and the role didn't change.
No, he was supposed to come in as a goal scorer. He was a striker. He came in as a striker under Lampard.
All three of our front threes should be goal scorers.
Well,
one person.
That's not the premise of the conversation right now. Whether or not all three should be goal scorers or not.
No. I interrupted. Sorry, because of
thank you.
The role change. I didn't see a role change.
That's you got your explanation on the role change. He was brought in to be a goal scorer, and then it changed to a hellish chicken to run around and make room for other players. Okay, good. Congratulations. He made a run that opened up Kai Havertz for the goal that won us the Champions League. Congratulations. But what does he has contributed to now? Nothing but warming up the bench. Timo Werner is a waste of the money. He's the third highest player paid on our salary books, and he hasn't contributed the way that people want him to. And you want him and all of this he's created and he's doing this. Yeah, we have enough creators on the squad. We need people that can contribute right away. And
honestly, both Werner and Lukaku can go. They both don't warrant the salary that they're getting. So both of them can go. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, if we keep Lukaku or not, I don't care. If he goes, so good riddance. As of right now, I'm happy. I'm pleased that he's on our squad because he's the leading goal scorer. That's it. Timo Werner, you can't compare Timo Werner to Lukaku. You can't compare Timo Werner to Lukaku at all. You can't do it.
Let's see your thoughts.
Yeah, I still think is the way, the question was asked of him, because they laid the question to how he wants, how they want the player to say things, the way they want to report things. And not a lot of players are smart enough to figure this out and try to deflect from what they want them to say. But if this is actually coming from Timo Werner, like I said earlier, he should leave. Some people are saying bring Rafinha, bring Dembele. I just want Broja because he loves Chelsea and he wants to prove that he's good enough for our level, and it's going to cost us virtually nothing. So I'll be happy for Timo to leave, but as a replacement, I don't want any new signing coming in. I just want Broja to be in the squad. So if we are playing, say someone, I want to see a front three of, say, Ziyech, Havertz, Pulisic, and if Havertz is not in there, then Broja will be in there. They can rotate. So let's see what happens next season, and hopefully Chilwell back as well. And then if I want to go in the midfield, I'll probably let J5 go and then bring in Gallagher, and we'll be set. You know, I won't be upset if we don't spend nothing. I won't be upset at all. But if anything, probably do something with the Chilwell situation. Get someone solid in there. That's all, and we are good to go. So
Yeah.
this winner issue is not an issue for me at all.
Let me ask you this, Pierre. Pierre, you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm still here. I thought you were going to go to
Given
Nick
this,
Blue as he's
given
been
this,
on for a while.
given this comment here, and again, I do apologize to everybody in the chat and also on the panel. I think I might have gone too far the way I spoke. The
No, you
language that
didn't.
I used,
No, you
that's
didn't.
sorry. I'm sorry if it came across to you as insulting or
You
disrespectful.
didn't.
That's not who I am. I was just really I was pissed, if I'm allowed to put it that way. That's not who I am, really. It takes time before something gets to me, and before I react that way. It's been a long time coming. I must let you know the truth. So, but that's by the way. This comment here says Werner out, Rafinha in the summer. I welcome it, which means it's talking about signing. And the Queen herself says, one of the queens of the house and the Queen of all streams, Strip there says Haaland swap, Lukaku and Timo. Now
Not happening.
let me ask you this, Pierre. Let me ask you
Yep.
this: is there a chance that we even spend a big in the summer, given the fact that we had a 150 million plus loss this past season? You think that whoever the new owner it will be, we don't know yet. They'd say try to break even first before even talking about spending.
Oh, if we take one of the consortium, Todd Bowley, he's already said that if he came in, he would get some A-list players in. He would buy players, and I would imagine that's the same for the other consortiums because of the rules about fair play and stuff. Where obviously a new owner, their fair play restrictions don't come into it. So, they can spend more freely. But the names that have been brought up here with with Rafinha and stuff like that, well, other clubs are in the process that they can actually start talking to these players. We've already got the fact that there are, I think Real Madrid are interested in Rafinha and stuff. We're not in a position that we can actually talk to them. By the time the ownership has been resolved, a lot of these players may have already committed themselves to other clubs, even if we could then offer more than they were being offered for that same player. So I think it's one step at a time. When the new owner comes in, sanctions have been lifted, etc., then we can actually start talking to players if they're still available. But other clubs are quite free to start discussing terms with Rafinha before the summer transfer window, and other players that have come up in the chat, and we're not in a position. So I would, again, I'm going to sort of say with LSG, we have got players coming in, and it's not just Broja, it's not just Conor Gallagher. We've also got, if Jorginho leaves or wants to leave, there's been rumours about whether he wants to stay. We've got Billy Gilmour, and Billy Gilmour has played really well for Scotland. We got central midfield player, we've got attacking box to box midfield player, we've got a centre forward. I mean, obviously, if Werner and Lukaku both goes, we can't just rely on Broja. We would have to bring in someone. But then the chances are he might have his chance as a first team player, and we'll be buying someone as backup to Broja. Who knows?
And let me ask you this: why I'm still with you? You said, when you started talking, you said I was going to ask you: did you say we should be able to still spend?
When the new owner comes in, they will have they have all the full license to spend money, as long as the sanctions have gone. Which there's no reason to have sanctions. The sanctions aren't on Chelsea Football Club because it's Chelsea Football Club. They're being applied because Roman Abramovich is being sanctioned. So once he's no longer the owner, then there's no reason for the government to continue sanctions because it will no longer be his asset. So the new owner should be able to come in, sanctions should go. Therefore that would open up the possibility to sign players and sell players, because we can't sell players under the current sanction either. Obviously, players who are no longer under contract, they'll be free to go. But we wouldn't be able to sell players as well as buy players currently. But But yes, if any new owner comes in, you would imagine with their promise of building the ground, £1 billion to invest, some of that investment would be to buy new players.
Yeah, I think you make great sense, and I appreciate you taking some time to explain that. I want to ask, is it possible for Roman Abramovich to remain a Chelsea owner? I think we've answered that question before. The fact is, I think if you were him, like I said, if I were Roman at this point, at this time, I think I'd be tired of the fact that every time there's an international crisis and Russia is involved, that I'd be a target of sanctions and all that. So at this point, I'd be tired of the whole thing and then looking to
Coach,
stay as
what if
far
he's
away.
become a enemy of the Russian or Putin?
Sorry?
Actually, what if he's become an enemy of the Russian state?
We don't have the facts, and there's something Pierre said before. If he's really, then he wouldn't be alive no matter where he is. You know that, you know the reach of those who are talking about. But that's by the way. But I wanted to come to you, Declad. Your thoughts on the possibility of transfers and what do you think?
Oh yeah, from what Pierre was saying, the only thing that Chelsea can do now, or can continue on, I agree with what he said. We're going to be starting on a back foot, but there's probably a chance for Rafinha in general that the groundwork has been done. And I feel that the last transfer window, there was a lot of groundwork done with a lot of players that didn't happen. I think there was a lot of, especially Konate. Is it Konate? Kunde? I keep getting them mixed up. So he's one that's pretty much nearly done, and just has to be agreed on. And I think there's a lot of groundwork. So Chelsea might be on the back foot for a lot of other players, but for a lot of players, I think there is something there that can continue on, and as soon as they're allowed to. And the new owners, if we get new owners, I'm going to hold out some hope now. But if the new owners come in, they're going to want to win the fans over with a statement signing. So I think it is going to be a pretty good window. Probably someone that we pay too much for, but the name is going to sell us, which is, at this point in time, I think some of the Chelsea fans are probably sick of big money transfers and big names at the moment. I mean, we're all calling out for Roger to come back, Gallagher to come back, Gilmore to come back. I'm actually more excited to see these guys come back rather than I don't know, splashing out big money on Rice or a big name. I don't know, even if they pull off something, Pogba. I mean, it's whoever comes in is going to be purely money based, a name, a big name, something they can market. It's going to be it's something to catch the headlines. It's going to be more than just who's the best player for the team. It's going to be a big name that that can win the fans over, that you talk about, and just makes news, and that's what a new owner would want. So it's probably got the wrong, all the wrong meanings behind it, or the wrong reasons, behind it. But yeah, it could be really good. It could be a wasteful one, another wasteful one.
Yeah, let's give the kids a chance, right? Gallagher and Broja and Billy Gilmore, they really haven't had a chance to play on Chelsea yet. Might as well save the money because, you bring in people like Lukaku and Werner, they didn't really work out and they were big money names. And then we can use the savings to keep people like Rudiger and Azpilicueta, people who we do care about. Christensen, he can come and go. I think he's kind of average. Sorry if anybody's offended by that. Huh?
Christensen, I think he's gone already.
Yeah, like the class said, I think he's gone already. I think I'm with you to bring back the kids, but for Billy Gilmore, I think he may need to prove himself all over again because in the first place, he shouldn't have gone on loan to Norwich, especially. I think that was a mistake because before that alone, he's played under Thomas Tuchel a few games of which he did quite well. And correct me if I'm wrong, in both games he won man of the match. Let me just say he didn't he didn't do bad. I think for him to have left the club for to go on loan to Norwich City was a mistake, because again, before that time, we knew we have lots of games to play, and they should, I think, had they stayed, he should play as much games, even more games that he's played at Norwich, because at the time he wasn't seeing game time at Norwich City. So for Billy, that's a question mark. For Gallagher, he comes back. I think he fits right in. For Broya, I think we need him. He's more technically gifted than some of the attackers we already have at the club. He's quicker, and also he's good with his feet overall. Let's see your thoughts.
Yeah, like we've all said, it's almost unanimous now that we want Broja. I see him as Diego Costa. He loves to fight, total shithousery, so I want to see him. And as for Gallagher, that boy can run. I don't see any midfielder that can run more than that guy, probably Golo Kante.
Mm.
So I think he's at Chelsea level at this point. I think he's at Chelsea level. The loan didn't work out for him at West Brom, but at Palace, he found a manager that trusts him. So, and I hope Tuchel gave him the same trust, because he has something to prove. We saw what happened with the transfer ban, and that led to Mason Mount, Reece James, and the rest. So today, in this similar situation, I think we should use it as an opportunity to show to the world again what Cobham is capable of. Bringing it's not just a show, because these guys are actually good. They are the level where they can try and fight for this club, not someone that is carrying himself around on the training pitch as a superstar. We want someone that will put their head down, and learn and do whatever Tuchel asks them to do. However, whether to defend or to run or to whatever, So I believe these two players have the mentality. As for Billy Gilmour, I think he fell off the ladder a bit for going to Norwich, and the injury. Out of sight is usually out of mind. So because we're not seeing what he's doing now, but I know he has the potentials to do this. So that means we have to get rid of Saul to accommodate these two guys, Billy and Gallagher. I know people want Rice or Shomeni, but I think Shomeni is off to Madrid. I don't know how possible it is for us to get that guy. And even Rice, I see a price tag of 150 million. I don't think, whether new owners or not, I don't think it's wise for us to spend that money. So I think we'll be okay if we make the right decision and bring in these two players, because I don't want to lose them. We can see the propaganda already. People are asking for Gallagher to be sold. People asking for Broja to be sold. So we have to guard against that. And even I know Broja is on 5-year contract. I don't know how many years is left on Gallagher's contract, but whatever it is, we have to act very
I think
fast.
with Gallagher we're fine, because he renewed before he went out on loan.
Okay. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And I'm going to read this comment on the screen, and I want to look for Showtime's trouble. This summer window will be the striker window. Timo Werner needs to leave, and someone else must come in. Lukaku cannot leave because Chelsea cannot afford to let him let go of him after just one season. But what I want to say is this to you, Showtime. The truth is, I want Lukaku to leave for one reason. He doesn't suit the way we play, whether you switch system or not. I don't think we will. That is change. It would have to change the way we play to a drastic measure to accommodate him and to get him to start firing on all cylinder, which is to become a counter-attacking team. But the fact is, selling Lukaku isn't easy. And one of the reasons being he practically has no selling value, because it is difficult to see any club come for Lukaku and pay us enough money to say, okay, you know what, you want to go. And that's the only reason why I think Chelsea wouldn't even they ask that is can't find a buyer. Let me just put it that way. Your thoughts are Showtime.
Regarding what you're saying, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, this comment right here, we can't afford to let him go after 1 year. It's not going to help us. It's not going to solve anything. I mean, who's to say that? I mean, everybody keeps complaining about his sense of style or how he plays. When we had Chilwell healthy and Reece James healthy, it looked like he was firing all cylinders. He was scoring goals, running, looking.
And please, if you're not talking, can you mute?
You talking to me?
No, not you. Everybody on the panel, when you're not talking, can you mute so that we're not getting that echo? Go ahead, Showtime.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say? I mean, when we had Chilwell and James, I mean, he was firing all cylinders. He was scoring goals. We were happy about his performances. But then he got injured. He caught COVID. Then people complain about the interview. I mean, yeah, so what? Then it just went downhill from that. But who's to say that next season won't be a fresh start for him and he'll be adjusted to the league and start firing all cylinders again? And then some of us fans who are upset with him now will be able to rejoice and start singing his name again. But my thing is, whoever comes in, we need to retain the people on staff. That goes from the likes of some of the people on the board and some of the people under the board, because that shows the progression. I mean, okay, we get a new owner, doesn't mean we have to change the way our philosophy and the way things are done so we can continue to fire on all cylinders. That's what my thing is. I'm not really worried about players coming in and coming out. I'm worried about who's making the decisions on the players coming in and coming out. That's the key for me.
Yeah, thank you for that input. Yeah, at this point, we'll let the chat drive the conversation that because it's an interactive show. I'm going to come to you, Pierre. This comment on the screen, I think we've talked about this a million times. I don't know if you yourself have talked about it. It says Lukaku don't suit Tuchel. He's going to leave. Told you he's a counter-attacking player. Yeah, we've talked about that before. But the fact that he's going to leave, it's just it's just wishful thinking because it's not easy to get rid. It will not be easy to get rid of him, or let me say, to sell him just to put it in a respectful way. Your thoughts, Pierre?
Well, I don't think Lukaku's just a counter-attacking player. I think Timo Werner's more that, in the sense that, with when he played when he played in Germany, he was using his pace, speed. So that, he needs. So a counter-attacking team, if they're inviting the opposition in and then they quickly break away, Timo Werner could use his speed. I thought one of the roles for Lukaku was to hold the ball up as a central striker, but the ball doesn't always stick with him. He, for Inter Milan, he was playing with a second striker, and yes, sometimes there was counter-attacking, and sometimes he uses his pace. But the other aspect to his game is to hold the ball up. So when he's playing against Van Dijk for Liverpool and various other things, he needs to have his back against Van Dijk, receive the ball, hold it, bring other players in. And he has done that at times, but criticism against him is that he doesn't always hold the ball up as well as he should do. He has scored goals for Chelsea. He is still currently the top goal scorer for Chelsea, so he's not been a complete disappointment. But
I know. Let me ask you this now that we're still talking about. I know Stav has made that argument about how many goals he's scored. He's a top scorer at this point, but has he scored as many goals that he should score?
He hasn't scored as many as he should have. He has been off with COVID. He had been dropped for comments he said about, with the Italian interview. He hasn't done himself any favours, and he could have scored more, and he should have scored more. But he hasn't been playing in the first team all the time either. And yes, there's been many times he's been on the bench. So that just seems that just suggests that he's not having the best time at Chelsea. But it's both ways, really. I mean, he hasn't performed to the ability that or promised that the £97 million price tag. He hasn't justified the price tag.
Yeah, he hasn't really. We have to be factual there. Tobago, twice now, Lukaku has talked about leaving Chelsea for Inter Milan. Bro, I want players that want to play for us. Good readings to Werner and Lukaku. And this comment is surprising to me because if you ask me, I haven't seen anybody in the past few months defend Timo Werner like DJ Sav has done. But I think he's coming to terms that really this is not going to work. Chelsea isn't the place for Timo Werner. Um, Nick Blue, your thoughts on the comment on the screen? Is Nick still with us?
I think Nick's gone.
Nick is gone. Okay, declare your thoughts.
You know my feelings. Yeah, agree 100% with DJ Sav. I believe that. I mean, even what Pierre mentioned about holding the ball, he wasn't even good at that. He did a little bit into Milan, and even that Lukaku plays. To be honest, Lukaku and Werner are very similar than people think, right? Not by looks, but Lukaku thinks he's a winger at most of the time and likes to play like a winger, likes to drift off well, likes space to run in, and he's a train when he gets going. When you give him the space and the ball, you can't stop him. But you don't find that in the EPL, and we don't play those. We don't play that way to play that long ball. And most of the teams in the EPL like to keep it nice and tight at the back. So in the league alone, it wouldn't even work if you changed to suit him. That's why he excelled at teams lower in the division who found teams found that space with teams when they press. So for me, Lukaku as well can do better. I think I'm still hung up on the timing of the interview and dropping of form. I think that he doesn't want to play, not that he's having trouble. I think he's down tools. That's why he has to go. It's not about fresh start. I think Lukaku could do better tomorrow. I think if he really felt that he wanted to be here and he was, I don't know if he's waiting for some kind of appreciation. I mean, the fans have been patient, but if he wanted to win back the fans, I think he can do it tomorrow. But I think there's other elements in place. I mean, to keep saying he's top goal scorer, he scored a lot of his goals outside the Premier League. I mean, they're in cup games. They're against lower teams. I need EPL goals at this time. That's probably the most
scored
important.
a lot of those goals to give us victories, to move us on to finals, to score in finals.
I knew you were gonna say. I knew you were gonna say
Yeah,
something there.
I was expecting.
Just let him finish. Let him finish.
Yeah, I was expecting. Me and Showtime always have this argument, but I mean, that cup game that you've referred to was against a South American team. I mean, if that's his level, I mean, he scored goals against a Saudi Arabian team. If that's his level, I mean, he scored against League One teams and Championship teams. I mean, is that his level? I mean, what about the big games? What about the big teams? What about the Champions League against the big teams?
Declare, stop here. You're
go ahead. Go ahead, Nick Blue.
Yeah, can I talk?
What?
Yeah,
I
just want to say, Declare, I know what you're saying. You've been saying it since we bought the car.
I know what you're going to say too, Greg.
A few others.
We have this argument all the time. Wait, the guy needs. Yeah. Well, we'll all come to an agreement now, yeah?
Johnny,
he needs to go.
I don't have to answer the door. Carry on, I have to answer the door.
All right, cool. Basically, what I was getting to is that I believe that he does not want to be here. Not that if he had a fresh start next season, he'll go. But also, the fresh start is a lot different now. The fresh start could become with the new owners. And if the new owners may put it in their head that they want to build a team around Lukaku, then a lot of people could get their wish. And I mean, and when you go down that road, I mean, who loses out? Could Tuchel be sacked in order to get a coach that accommodates him? Could players be gone to accommodate him? Do you know what I mean? If we start to build a team around Lukaku. So I don't know what visions these new owners might have, but look, no one celebrate about Werner because once new owners come in, they could convince Werner to stay. I mean, that's a scary thing that could come here where whoever comes in might want to keep everyone and not let Lukaku or Werner leave and give them insurances that, you know, they're going to get the play style that they want. And it comes to the detriment of maybe Tuchel being forced to play a different way and maybe he leaves. I mean, Tuchel should be more important than that, but new owners might not see that. So that's a worrying sound too.
Yeah, I think you raised something I want us to talk about, but quickly, Just be able to say, I don't know whether this is true. Apparently, PSG are interested in Lukaku. I'll let you come in on that. I'll find some of many topics before I say what I want to say. We
You're on mute,
can't hear
Phantom.
you. We can. Okay, you're on mute.
Sorry. Right now, would you
Mhm.
rather have Tammy or would you rather have Lukaku? Which one would you rather have? I'd rather have Tammy right now.
Why is that?
Well, because Tammy at least runs around a little bit more. They're both in the 9 position, but at least we get some defense out of Tammy. Lukaku, there's a lot of times where he could just run over and intercept the ball, but he doesn't even bother to run over to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'd rather have Tammy, because as far as scoring power, they're about the same, I think.
Yeah, you wanted Tammy. You want Tammy over Lukaku, but Tammy was sitting on the bench, riding the bench for how long during the time he stayed with Tuchel?
Yeah, but
It's
that's
not worth
due to
That says
Tuchel.
that says a bit more though, Showtime.
No,
That
it
says
does not
that
say. It
those
doesn't say much that
Well,
he was out of
let me
favor.
finish
Let
the
me
point so
finish.
you can
You didn't let
counter
me
it.
finish before you even started interjecting.
Let him finish. He started before you. Go ahead, Showtime. What were you saying?
Tammy came when Tuchel came in. Tammy played how many matches and sat on the bench for how many matches? Giroud, old man Giroud, was in favor over Tammy Abraham.
But do you remember that even Tuchel came in, Tammy had already dropped to the bench under Frank Lampard?
That says a lot. Even Frankie Lampard, the mediocre manager, that's even saying much about him. Mediocre at that. Manager benched Tammy Abraham, who gave him a shot. Frankie gave him a shot, and he blew that away. And then he was babying because he didn't want to sign an extension with us because he wanted to make Callum Hudson-Odoi money, and he wasn't worth that much. And then Tuchel came in, and he still sat on the bench and didn't make an impact. And then we sold him, and now you're talking about Tammy or Lukaku. Lukaku is a proven goal scorer. Tammy Abraham is not a proven goal scorer. He has a long way to go. It's because he's scoring in the Italian league now. You guys want to talk about bringing Tammy Abraham back. Who's to say that he comes back and even worse than what Lukaku is giving us right now? The only thing different from Tammy Abraham and Lukaku is Tammy Abraham probably won't sit in an interview and talk about how much he loves Italy. Who's to say he probably wouldn't do that? To be honest, Lukaku is here for another year at best. If the new owners come in and want to get rid of him, they'll be losing more money than they will gain at the end of the day. And that's about it. And just to say that Lukaku only scored in a certain amount of games, he still scored in important games for us. You want to be cheering and screaming, "Oh, we won 2 trophies!" If
can I ask you this, Showtime? And please, again, I'll be upfront with everybody. Don't see my counter questions as insulting. I was saying you're not making a good point. We're here, to debate and always come to a sensible conclusions. If you want to see it that way, my question to you: do you agree that he hasn't scored as much goals as we would have expected?
I can look, Coachella. I can agree and contest that I am not pleased with his performance this season, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, we're gonna bash him or say negative things that he has to go. We gave Timo Werner 2 years. We give Lukaku the same amount of years. And even so, we give him more because he's a proven goal scorer. Timo Werner only scored in the Bundesliga. And we only know the clubs that come out the Bundesliga is Bayern Munich. We don't know no other clubs in the Bundesliga. Timo Werner is not proven. And that's why you see him in the decline state. Lukaku can change form anytime, any day, any hour because he's a proven goal scorer. He just needs an adjustment period. It's not an excuse, it's facts.
Yeah.
I hope that happens.
I've been dying to come in.
I'm coming. I'm coming.
Go, Nick. Nick was waiting. But can I go after
Nick?
Nick?
I'm coming. Nick, well, just 1 minute, please, if you don't mind. I'm going to say Lukaku's situation has become all too familiar. It's coming to that the stage of what's his name, Morata's own situation. I think it's at that stage we're hopeful that things are going to change. It never changed, and then we started hearing a story. He had relationship issues. It's becoming more like the story of Fernando Torres. All this is becoming all too familiar. That is to be hopeful that things are going to change. If he changes, if it does change, I will take it. Believe me, I want to see him do well because the fact is he's a good striker. But the most important thing we must understand is he doesn't suit the way we play. He doesn't suit the way Tuchel likes to play. Again, I'm repeating myself again. I'm starting to sound like a broken record. Look at Mainz, look at Dortmund, look at PSG. Even at PSG, when Tuchel had Icardi, he didn't use him that much. But go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I understand what everyone's saying. But look, from the beginning, before we even got Lukaku, I wanted Lukaku. And everyone wanted Haaland at the time, like I said before, but the money was crazy. And, his agent is crazy, was crazy, and still is crazy. Lukaku came. He started well, started scoring when he first came, if you remember. Everyone was praising him, singing his name. Then that interview happened. Then that happened. Things, went a bit out of the way, out of his control, if you know what I mean. The media overplayed the interview, and a lot of Chelsea fans who wanted Haaland, most of the fans who wanted Haaland, like Declare, Johnny, Jem, and a lot of others, that was a good excuse to shout for Lukaku to get out. And that's the main reason they wanted him out, was Haaland. But Lukaku had that interview, he lost his confidence, he got injured, he had COVID. And, I trust he will get his confidence back. He started getting it a little bit at the last game. He was better than any other game since that interview. He started showing what he's made of. He's a powerful player, don't forget. He can hold off people. His presence, just his presence, makes us, we have a different option, just with his presence. I know Havertz is doing the business now, and I would never drop Havertz for no one right now. But they can play together as well. Just, Tuchel knows what he's doing, and he will give Lukaku as much time as he thinks. If Tuchel decides he doesn't want him anymore, that's up to Tuchel. I back Tuchel, whatever he says. But give the man a chance to stop shouting that stupid name, what I see all the time on Twitter, Lakaka, what's all this rubbish? They keep going on, they never stop.
No, I think it's so wrong for people to go up to the extent of calling him names. That's not okay. You have every right to critique a player, but calling players names, I don't think it's not a good thing.
Streamers like yourself are calling him names, which I hate, and that's why I'm not. Even streamers, people on YouTube who own channels, they're calling him these stupid names.
That's not okay.
But it's not okay.
I will never do that. I will critique him.
Like that's why
I don't do that.
That's the main reason I become on your channel, because you're not like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I want to say, I think I am with DJ Saab with this comment on the screen. I just don't think we will be spending in the summer as people think, even if we get a new owner. But that's, by the way, Declan, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, on the topic of Lukaku, it's beyond. I mean, I'll just touch on. It's beyond the names. People can call him names. Who cares? I mean, for me, Lukaku was at Chelsea at a time where the players controlled basically the club. They were bigger than the manager. That's when Lukaku was here. When our player power was at its height, right? That's why we went through manager, and the backbone of the team and even the coaching staff, whatever, was John Terry, Drogba, all these players, all the big players. And now back when Lukaku was here when he was young, Lukaku witnessed all this, right? So Lukaku 4 months in didn't like the style, and instead of trying to adapt, because Lukaku knew what he was coming into. Tuchel would have had a talk and talked about how he's going to be used, and they would have agreed. There's no chance that Lukaku goes, well, I only come in if you change it. So Lukaku must have had a falling out with Tuchel, right, on what he requires of him, right? Because Lukaku doesn't want to run around. Lukaku doesn't hold the ball like you guys think he holds the ball, right? That's not what he does. And he likes to play like a winger. He is a big winger. He's not good at holding the ball. The first touch not even that good, right? But the way he started was We give him some space and opportunity, and he scored, and that's all we needed, right? And I still think he has that ability, but he does not want to play. What Lukaku did in that interview, which some people might play down, is he exercised player power, which has been a massive issue and what I've hated for so long at this club, right? And he tried to exercise that 4 months in. Now that backfired, and now it's almost like he doesn't want to play no more. It's not about confidence. This guy's played in this league for the majority of his career. He doesn't need confidence. He knows what to expect. He knows he's been at the club. He's been at Chelsea. There's no adaptation period. This guy, people called him world class. He scored that many goals in this many league, and he's been at the club. There should be no. This guy should have hit the ground running, and that's what everyone used over Haaland. And to tell you, Nick, when I called for Haaland, I said if we couldn't get Haaland, I wanted Havertz over Lukaku. And there's a lot of videos out there where I made the case Havertz versus Lukaku. Because coming back to what Showtime was saying, when Tuchel came in, Tammy was on the bench. So was Giroud. And these guys didn't play. And going back to what Coach said about Icardi, he does not. Tuchel doesn't like or the characteristics of these strikers. He's not a big fan. It doesn't fit in the system. The strikers, they're the oldish number 9, the ones that's going to hold you the ball. That it's not his big, it's not his style, and that's why he benched those players. Now he received Lukaku, which is a player he didn't want. Maybe a characteristics of a player that he hasn't been fond of in the past. And when he gets the opportunity to drop him, he dropped him straight away. So there's a lot of politics. There's a lot of who's signing, who's this. And we've come to Lukaku. I think I'm still sticking by that this guy can play and doesn't want to play.
Here's why I agree with you, especially when the interview stuff was at its heights. I think there were games he was on the pitch, he looked disinterested. I don't blame him because a whole lot of stuff went on then. And as a human being, eventually those stuff will get to him. I'm going to come to you, LSG. Any follow-up thoughts on what Declan just said?
I'd like to respond after him.
Yeah, fine. I'll let you in.
Yeah, I think we should stop this, divisive debate about, the players and all of that, At the end of the day, I don't think a player like Lukaku will deliberately choose, just out of spite, because that might affect his own worth and perception. So if people are going to move for him, it's just going to reduce his value. So I don't see any reason why a player should go that route. But in the interest of peace, if actually player power still does exist at Chelsea, I think, and if Lukaku is found to be wanting in that regard, I think it would be good for him to leave. But I don't see any club going for him right now. I don't see Tottenham going for him because that would be his, his best destination because of Conte. Or maybe PSG because they would be the one that would be crazy enough to pay high wages.
I don't think they will, if you ask me. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, if we know that he's not going to leave anytime soon, all we need to do is support him. He has it in him to score goals. He scored all sorts of crazy goals, whether that is with West Brom or Everton. He scored some crazy goals. All right. And I know he has the ability. I wouldn't have allowed Giroud to leave because Giroud can score crazy goals as well. Probably was the pace that let him down. So in this regard, I would say let's stop giving him bad name or derogatory names like Lakaka. They keep calling him. We should stop and just. I think he's feeling this inhibition against the fans. He doesn't like to come out to celebrate with other players anymore. I noticed it during the trophy celebrations recently. He doesn't want to go out to the crowd, and he loves to go out to the crowd. I think if we give him some consistent games, run of games, and he baggy the goals, I want him to just come out of his shell and embrace the crowd, and the love can start flowing again. and that might help us in the long run.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for that input. I understand your point. Quickly, Showtime, you wanted to say something because I want to get to Pierre and Nick Blue. We have just a few minutes to round off. Go ahead.
Regarding the speculation of accusations that the Declare just laid out, I like for him
Please,
to.
if you're not talking, can you mute? I think we're getting an echo here. Is it you, Showtime?
No, I don't think you should be hearing an echo from me.
All right, go ahead.
I just want him to make sure I want everybody to make sure everyone knows that all what he's saying is just speculation and his own opinion. Whether or not Lukaku, you think or you deem that Lukaku doesn't want to play for Tuchel or he's doing this out of spite. I mean, I think it's your own opinion, and I can't say that I agree with it. That's just about me. That's about it. And just to say that, he doesn't need to adjust. He sure does need to adjust because he's been out the league for a while, and his focus and his style of play in Italy is totally different, and the physicality of Italy is totally different than what it is in the EPL. How can you say a player does not need an adjustment period? We've given Timo Werner,
because he went back a better man, remember?
Pardon me?
Because he went back and he became fitter, remember? Like under Conte.
What does that have to do with adjusting to style of play, to style of physicality from other teams?
Because everyone said he was in better shape than he left.
The shape doesn't matter to how the games is played now. The physicality is different. The defenders are different. The philosophies are different in Italy than it is in the EPL. How can you say?
So was he judged by his Inter Milan performance or his Man United performance?
He was judged by his ability to score goals. His ability.
In where?
On the list.
At Inter Milan?
On the list, Tuchel had names of players. If we wasn't going to get Haaland, we were going to get Lukaku. He was the next best thing out there for us to go get.
Yeah, look, man, if you wanna go on receipts and stuff like that, I can bring up some links and videos where I made a comparison between Havertz and Lukaku. Right?
Okay.
My thing was that
I'm going off what you just stated. I'm not.
No, because because the way you started your rebuttal was to make sure what I said was opinion based.
It wasn't more than that.
What you're saying is opinion as well. What you're saying falls under the same category. What I'm saying,
mine doesn't fall.
I have speculated. I believe that he can play.
Let him finish. Then you can respond before I go to Nick Blue and
two different people. My statements are based on the facts, and your statements is based on your feelings and your emotions towards the interview that came out. You weren't saying this before the interview. You're saying this post-interview. That's my thing with you. You don't want to see him as a player that can be a valuable asset to our club because you're still butthurt over the fact he came out with an interview. But you don't think he wants to play here. But he already in the interview stated that he has to adjust to what the manager wants. It's not his decision. He has to go with what the manager. He wasn't happy with the style of play, but he still said he has to adjust.
All right, we're not gonna go into talking about the interview. You have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just have to say. I just want to say this as well. At the end of the day, he's going to be here, whether I like it, whether Declare like it, or whether whichever fans like it. At the end of the day, we are here to support him. And the fact that some fans are starting to sing his name again shows that the times are turning. It's just for people like Declare and Cole to get it under their heads that he is a proven goal scorer. And the more support that he gives, like this young fan, I don't know who says that, where he likes to celebrate with fans. And you see him now not celebrating with fans. It shows that it's having an effect on his playability. He needs the fan support. That's it. Simple as that. We go back to singing Lukaku's name, you'll see him score way more goals. But as of right now, he's still the top scorer.
Again, I'm gonna tell you that Showtime, I love you, but brother, I think the situation is becoming all too familiar. I hope it changes. If it changes, I will take it. I'm gonna go. Declare, I'll come to you in a bit if you don't mind. I want to go to Nick Blue and then Pierre. Now, Nick Blue, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I want to pick up to Showtime because what he said, I would have said the same. Yeah, we need to give him, give him a chance, sing his name like we did at the last game, and he will get back. He lost his confidence. It's simple. He lost his confidence before because he could tell the fans who didn't want him. Some fans, not all of them. He could see he's there. So now he started to get his confidence back a little bit, especially when they were singing his name at the last away game. They did, and he will get his confidence back. I'll trust him, and I'll trust what Tuchel knows what he's doing. He's not mad. We have the best manager in the world. So if anyone can get Lukaku going, it's Tuchel. So trust in your manager and declare stop all the rubbish.
Okay,
I'm going to give you some good facts now. That's what I'm going to give you guys, because you guys have said you're speaking facts. I'll tell you what you guys have been saying. You guys have been saying Lukaku's going to score. Lukaku's going to do this. Do you trust him? I already Showtime said, do you trust the manager? Because he's starting Lukaku. Well, the manager benched him now, right? And that means we trust our manager. Lukaku should be on the bench. Lukaku did also say in the interview that he's going to leave soon, right? That he wants to go back to Inter Milan before it's too late, right? He did blame the system.
You said two
things.
No, don't
interrupt me.
You said he's going to leave soon.
You didn't watch the interview.
Let him finish, and I think once the cloud is gone, we'll stop talking about the Lukaku
say
thing.
That you were speaking facts and I was speaking speculation. I was butthurt. You know that you've been butthurt that much that you've come around saying that Lukaku might have to go, right? That he needs to do better, right? Lukaku, he was the best player to adapt, right, and go. If Lukaku needs the crowd, now you're talking. You know who else needed the crowd? Morata needed to be loved. Torres needed to be loved. If Lukaku is falling in the category of an emotional player, right, then he's going to fall in the same category of Morata and Torres. Right. What the facts are is that Lukaku hasn't done well enough. Right. There is no evidence that you've been speaking about, like that Lukaku is going to come around, because you've been singing that song the whole season. You've been saying, watch when he comes around, that you're going to show everyone. Right. He hasn't come around. So the only butthurt person in here, Showtime, is you. Right. So don't come around and say everyone's got opinions of fact. I said, and I have more facts. Right. And Lukaku isn't a dumb person, right? Lukaku did say that if Inter Milan gave him, right, a bumper deal, which he was after, right, we would be having this interview in Milan. So the guy is a mercenary, came for a bigger wage package, right, and then also has the audacity to criticize everyone and say he wants to leave soon. He has a short term. He doesn't see a future in Chelsea, right? If he stays for one more year, he probably leaves here. If he has a chance to go, he's going to leave, right? And if Conte goes anywhere big and makes the club like PSG, for example, right? He's gone, because that's the style. Lukaku has been at 7 clubs, right? He has no loyalty to any club. So to think that we're going to cheer his name and he's going to stay and he's all about blue and that, no, he hasn't shown anything. The guy is a mercenary. That's fact, right? The guy came out and spoke against the manager. Fact, right? The guy said he wants to go back to Inter Milan. Facts. These are all facts, right? You said he's going to score goals.
Says the person that was singing his song, his name when he scored goals against Arsenal. Yeah.
Yes, I would sing his name. And you know what?
Yeah,
and now I sing his name, and now I tell him to get the hell out of here.
You are butthurt. It's simple as that. You're butthurt.
Bro, you're the person that
he wants to go back. He said after he's done here at Chelsea, he wants to go back before it's too late for him.
All right, this is not. Can I say something? This is not a stream about that Lukaku incident. It's just that at this point, in the show, we let the people in the chat drive the conversation. Yes.
If a new owner is going to come in and he's going to see that majority of the fans do not want Lukaku, and one of the biggest things he can do is get Lukaku out of here, and he's going to win back fans like that too, and that's going to be a positive move for any new owner.
Here is the truth, Declan. I don't think that will happen because you will mean you're taking a loss, because you're not going to find anybody that will pay you close to the amount.
Coach, him sitting on the bench is a loss as well.
Well, we'll see what happens.
We were saying that when Timo Werner was sitting on the bench for
hold on. We can only speculate.
Werner's out too. See you later.
We cannot be sure what will happen. Pierre, coming to you. Pierre, given the comment on the screen from Frizzo, and by the way, Frizzo, this is the first time I think, or the second time I'm reading your comment today. I hope you're good. So we only need a defender, DM, wingers. That's it. Do you think that's correct?
Well, I'm glad it's moved off the other subject, I suppose. Yeah, I think Chelsea were going for a new defender, especially as Christensen, who is going to leave. I'm hoping that Rudiger and Azpilicueta stay. That they, things are resolved with the new owner and they sign new contracts. Defensive midfield player, not sure if it's 100% necessary. I don't think we'll go for Declan Rice or pay the money for Declan Rice, especially if they're starting to quote 150 million. There's the guy from Monaco, which might be a possibility, but I still think we got two midfielders coming back in Billy Gilmore and Conor Gallagher. I know Conor Gallagher is not necessarily a defensive midfield player, but he's a box-to-box midfielder. But Billy Gilmore certainly can add to Kante and the defensive midfielders we've got. And yes, winger Rafinha has been mentioned a few times by people. But the one person who hasn't been mentioned at all and who's got contract issues at the moment, not signing a new contract, is I'd be, if people want to move off Lukaku, what people here who follow me thinks about maybe going back in for Salah if he doesn't sign a new contract with Liverpool as a winger.
How much does he have left on his contract?
Let me come on that, please, coach. No, we don't want any Liverpool rejects. He's
Yeah,
not
Liverpool
the best player in the
rejects.
world.
Salah isn't a reject by any measure.
I will swear at him if he comes back. I will go out on the pitch.
No, support your players like you make everyone do Lukaku.
Go ahead, Pierre. You were saying something. Please let Pierre finish. Let Pierre finish.
Well, I finished. I think Nick's putting his viewpoint about Salah. I mean, I see him as a former Chelsea player who, was allowed to leave, and I think that was potentially a mistake. He wasn't given the chance at Chelsea. He's done the business at Liverpool, but if people can all have opinions about.
Pierre, let me tell you this. Most Chelsea fans, they don't want Salah back. Even if that won't happen anyway, he won't come back.
That's right.
He will get so much abuse, he's going to go flying to Egypt like a
Nick. Okay. Nick, can I say something? I don't think Salah is in any way a Liverpool reject. No, they probably, because if they don't extend his contract, we will be strictly down to how much he's asking for. But if Chelsea can pay, that is how much? How many is left on his contract?
I think he's only got one more year after this.
Yeah, one.
He's not coming to Chelsea, coach. I'll guarantee.
That's the only reason why Chelsea can get him.
Nick, what you're saying doesn't make sense. Did you guys turn on Torres and Morales that came in?
Nick, let me finish. If for instance you say you want to support Tuchel, if Tuchel wants him, you can't stop it from happening.
That's the only thing I'm worried against Tuchel if he goes against Salah, because I hate that bloody Liverpool scumbag.
All right. I think I'm going to find another comment, Declan. I'll bring you in so that we don't keep going on and on. We've streamed for 3 hours now, and this is CFC for him saying, "Big up, everyone! Big up to you, brother! And if you haven't, please go check out CFC's for him's channel. Great channel, always objective, and that's why I'm friends with him. No clickbait at all. Good to see that you found time to join in the chat. Declan, you wanted to say something?
No, so Nick was. I don't know. Did you turn on Torres, Morales, Benayoun? Like these guys came from Liverpool, and I mean, Salah would be coming at the peak of his game, and 1 year left. You're not talking about a massive transfer here. And he did play for Chelsea. Just
most overrated player in the world. He's a goal hanger. He's a tapping merchant, and we don't.
Let me ask you, Nick. Let me ask you, but before I ask you the question, I want to say to London is Red. You have every right to come around, participate in the chat, as long as you don't troll, because if you troll, it will anger those people with moderation access, and they will block you. So you have to be mindful what you say. You can have an argument, a civilized argument with them in the chat, but don't troll. Nick, why don't you want Salah to return to Chelsea? Because I don't agree that he's a Liverpool reject if they don't extend his contract.
Yeah, all right. He's not a Liverpool reject. He was at Chelsea, you know. At the time he wasn't that good. That's why I'm not rid of him. He went to Roma. He, started playing well. So Liverpool went and got him, and by some luck, out of this world, he starts scoring goals, mostly tapping goals. And look, every time he plays against us, he can't get a sniff. because Chelsea won't let him. I'll bet Rudiger, Silva, the rest of them, they won't let him even touch the ball. How many times does he get a touch? He's not that good. He's overrated. He's not the best player in the world by far. He's too overrated, and I don't want him at Chelsea. He can go to Tottenham, Arsenal, wherever he wants. Keep away from Stamford Bridge, you scumbag.
All right. I guess that's your opinion.
Is Nick
and
trolling?
your point. Sorry?
Is Nick trolling though?
No, he's speaking his mind.
No, I'm not trolling. I'm very passionate about my club. I don't want no
he speaks his mind. He doesn't want. I don't think every Chelsea fan wants Salah to come to Chelsea.
No,
but
they don't.
I'd take him.
I'll tell you.
I'd take him, and I'd actually let.
Declare. I know you're down under. You don't know what's going on in London.
I'd actually let two players go and take Salah. Coming to you, LSG. This deals CFC says we need to sign a backup left back and a backup right back in the summer because we wouldn't be in problems because we have missed Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Here's where I have an issue with this comment right here, and I'll come to you about that in a bit. You two, Per. Can we stop using the language backup? I think that's one of the problems we have, and that's the reason why we have too many what we the Chelsea fans refer to as deadwood at Chelsea. We should sign starters and not backups, because if we had starters, two starters in the left wing back position and on the right wing and in the right wing back position, when Ben Chilwell got injured, we wouldn't have a problem. When Reece James got into it, we wouldn't have a problem. And if the manager still prefers playing with a 3 at the back system, will still be very effective. Look at Manchester City. They don't sign backups. They sign starters. What if player A gets injured, player B will come in and do good enough job, even sometimes better than player B. And at Manchester City, you're not guaranteed that this position is yours, because there's always somebody available who is as equally as good as you or even better. So unless I want to ask you this question, what's up with this talk of always us saying, using the term backup, and then when the starting player gets injured, we have a big problem?
Yeah, I agree with your premise there. We shouldn't use that word backup. It should be a competitor. They have to fight together. So that's where we really deep in form, this season, because the left back is very, very important. And we saw that the levels between Alonso and Chilwell is really, really far apart. So,
and it wasn't like we didn't know. We knew all this while that he isn't as good as Chilwell.
Yeah, we knew, and we didn't anticipate the injury. We didn't do that, and I think we were actually after Alfonso Pedraza, but he got injured during the Euros, so that was why we didn't even bother, in my opinion, to look for someone else. And if I'm to make a choice for options, someone mentioned Reece James as well, competitor. I just think we should bring Livramento, because we want this team to be as fresh, as young as possible, and he's got his experience now at Southampton. So, but I don't know whether he will want to be a backup to another academy player, because I don't know what he has to say about that. So Aspi role would now be a bit limited to maybe, instead of playing wing back positions. So I would suggest that we go for, someone that can actually put Chilwell on bench, in that position, than having Chilwell to be the standard. So that would be. We saw what happened earlier in the season, when Alonso was in good form and Chilwell wasn't used to the system. We saw the competition. We saw what he brought out of Chilwell, and all of a sudden, he was the main man for the team. So I believe the same thing should happen. We need to get someone that is really, really good. I don't think Manson can fit that bill. If we are going for academy, we
Mm-hmm.
should get someone really, really solid. But as for Rhys James' position, I think Livramento would be good for us.
Mm-hmm. Pierre, thank you very much. Pierre, coming to you, what do you think about that mentality of having a starter and a backup player? It is really dangerous, if you ask me. In a team like Chelsea Football Club, we shouldn't be doing that because Real Madrid, it is not the same. Every player is capable of starting, and no player that is. For instance, I use Man City as an example. Nobody can say a certain position is his for taking.
Well, we had the two people in every position. Rhys James and Ben Chilwell were two players playing left back and right back, with their competitors Alonso and Azpilicueta on that side. None of them are considered backups to each other. Personally speaking, I think Alonso was probably the wrong person to choose as the backup. That's a personal viewpoint. And the club, soon as Chilwell was injured, were trying to scramble back and get Emerson back. Alonso's, we know what his issues are. He's a good wing back at times. He doesn't always play to his ability, but he's and I think he played better in the past. But speed has always been an issue for Alonso, and I do think the problem there is he can't really beat a player for pace to get the crosses in for whoever the centre forward is. I'm trying to avoid saying Lukaku, but if he was playing centre forward, but you're not going to get as many crosses in from Alonso because his tendencies to receive the ball doesn't go past the player or attempt to go to the byline. He tends to pass it back to the midfield. I'm not saying he never crosses, but that's the case. We did have a player who came in for some games, Lewis Hall. I thought he looked good.
Yeah, that brings back the question: was that a one-off thing? Because we haven't seen him ever. He was brilliant in that game.
He played a couple of matches, and then I think he's been on the bench a few times as well, then not come on. But he played really well. When Alonso was out of favour, and he got a couple of games, but he hasn't been back as a left back.
So what happened?
Well, he's still very young, but he is. All I'm saying is we don't necessarily need to buy a new left back if we've got someone in the academy who could step in. And if especially if Emerson is potentially coming back, then we've got Chilwell, Emerson, and we got Lewis Hall. On the right back side, I've heard Livramento being mentioned. Well, he's a Southampton player now. We may have a buyback scheme, but he left because he wasn't playing in the Chelsea first team. So if you suggested being a backup, he's certainly not going to come back in if you say you're not going to be competing for the right back position. Same way as Lamptey also decided not to stay at Chelsea and join Brighton. These players chose not to compete or be backup or whatever. They wanted first team opportunities now. So they didn't sign new contracts with Chelsea and decided to make the decision to move on. I believe there's a buyback, but I haven't been. I'm not 100% convinced that when Livramento left that we got about buyback in there. Certainly didn't have one for Lamptey, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a very great input right there, and I appreciate you taking the time to say that. Declan, let me go to Nick Blue quickly. Your thoughts on us? That's our mentality of having a backup and a starting player.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah, like Pierre was saying, I love to have a Livramento back. He'd be a great backup. He's proving himself. We have a back clause for him, so that could be an option. And Hall is pretty good for his age. He's coming through. He's another one slowly coming into the first team, with cup games and that. I'm very happy with him as well. Alonso's getting old now. He ain't gonna get. He won't get any faster. He'll only get slower. He does come good in certain games, big games. He always comes up with a goal. He still has that special free kick in him. But I can see him going with like Werner's going to go. I think for sure. Yeah, what can I say? We do need backup for Rhys James and Chilwell for sure, because look at the injuries. Because of that, it cost us the league this year. I'm sure we would have been, very close to City and above Liverpool if we had them two all season. We missed them badly, especially with Lukaku playing, centre forward. We needed them to get the balls across more often. Mount does it sometimes. He doesn't do it all the time. And you saw when Mount can cross a good ball, Lukaku is there. But you need that more often. That's that's why we haven't won the league this year. Otherwise I think definitely we would have won the Premiership this year if it wasn't for them two getting injured. So we
Yeah.
we have
Thank
we
you.
have to get good backup. Yeah.
Yeah, Nick Blue still called it a backup, and that's where I have an issue. But that's, by the way, I'll come to you in a bit, Declared. And I want to say, whatever you're watching from, please, we have about 19 people watching now. And if you haven't liked the video, we have about 20. We have 25 likes. You go ahead and do so. Although we're coming to the end of the we'll be ending the stream in a few minutes. And I want to answer this question before I come to you, Declare. He says, Coachila, do you think in the long run, with the ownership change, that Chelsea will continue to be successful? Yes, of course. Except if the new owners don't make any don't make drastic changes, I think they'll continue to be successful. If I were to, that is to be the new owner, the first thing what I would do is build on what Roman has done and not change and not make drastic changes. Look for areas where I believe that he could have done better and improving on that areas. That way, nothing breaks it, because the truth is, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. You should just mess things up. Declared, coming to you. What do you think about the mentality of having backups and starters?
Everyone said it's a team game. Everyone knows, but some people will know they got to fight for their spot, and so there's a misconception maybe that it's a team. I don't know what's the best way to put it. I agree with you that calling them backups is an issue, but any player that comes in thinks they can make the first team. Any player comes in thinks mentally or a discussion with the coach that they can make it into, they can fight for a position. So whether they end up on the bench or rotation, they must feel that they can make the team. Now, if it's a young player, then they know they got a lot of work and development, and there's a different meaning behind it. But any player that transfers in comes in. But not to mention, if people thought we were buying backups, I mean, we were buying Hakimi, if everyone remembers. I mean, I think everyone banked on Hakimi to come in. I mean, Chelsea banked on Hakimi to come in, and he chose PSG. So, having said that, I mean, we were buying someone that can play both sides, someone that might have played in front of Reece James, and he is a first team player. He could have been on the bench. So, I think Chelsea were doing what you wanted, coach, about buying a first team type player.
Yep. Yeah, buying starters and not backups. I think that's one of the why we suffered the way we did in the league when Rhys James and Ben Chilwell got injured. We didn't have capable, you know, starters anymore, because they were the starters, and the others we had were backups. If you ask me, coming to you, Showtime. What your thoughts on the backup starter mentality?
Yeah, I'm all for not really that backup role. I'm more for starters as starters, and starters will be starters. Whoever's sitting on the bench is a starter in my eyes, because that's the type of players we need. We saw the likes of, I mean, I guess our board and our manager realized we didn't have starters or the quality of starters that we needed once we saw injuries happen. So I think that's why you hear the likes of all these targets that they're starting to name, Tuchemeni, Kunde. Those are starters who can come in and sit on the bench as well and have a good impact on the squad when we need them to, because we play in a whole bunch of competitions. So starters will be starters. There's no bench. People like I can't even name a bench like Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He is a bench player. He comes in when he needs to, and he's the cleanup guy. It's the likes of Gallagher next year. Hopefully, will give Mason Mount a run for his money, and one of them was going to turn into a starter guy, and one is going to come off the bench. And I'm all for that competition. I think it brings a sense of urgency, competition inside our locker room, like the likes of City has the likes that we need, the ones that Liverpool has, because the depth is what we need and the quality is what we need. We don't need to go out and spend 30 million on the backup left back. We need to go out there and spend, if you're not 50 million, 80 million on a starting left back, and he's going to compete with Chilwell on that position right there on that role. I mean, we need it.
Go ahead.
I mean, and then look, we have the likes of other players. We can name a bunch of players who aren't starter quality, but
that are in the squad.
Shows, that are in our squad as of right now, of late, and it's called dead wood. That's what we call it in the States. They're dead wood, and they're bringing us down because you saw the turnaround in December and January. We were struggling. Who's to say that if we had another starter as a left back and a right back, we wouldn't still be on top of the league? And we know Tuchel loves to play with those wing backs that are versatile. They can go forward and drop back. And you saw that it hindered us and our strikers from putting in goals. It stopped us from producing like we were producing. So we know. I'm glad Tuchel is having a say in who our next owner will be, and he's a part of the process because it shows that, all right, we're not just looking to get rid of Tuchel, but we're looking to keep him for the longevity. So I'm happy. I'm pleased.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you just I just cut something from what you said that I think we'll round off with that one. But we're already catching up with the comments. Coming to you, Pierre, what do you think about the comment on the screen? Tammy and Lukaku both are not good enough for TT. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was trying to avoid going back to Lukaku because we've done that to death, really. And obviously, Tammy Abraham was mentioned about, obviously Chelsea got a buyback clause in for that if they wanted to. I think it's about £68 million or something to get Tammy Abraham back. But
I thought it was a little higher, wasn't it, Pierre? 80?
I didn't think it was as high as that. They might have quoted $80 or something, or $80 million, but I think it's about
different currency.
Is he worth 80 million?
Well, yeah, but obviously when Roma bought him, they stuck part of the thing is Chelsea negotiated the buyback, and it was always going to be a lot more than they actually sold him for. So again, it would be Chelsea selling a player and then buying him back, sort of, almost admitting they'd made a mistake to let him go in the first place by having to pay more to get him back. So I'm not sure that's the way forward. I don't think Thomas Tuchel was looking towards getting Tammy Abraham back in a hurry, and I'm not going to discuss further with Lukaku. He's a Chelsea player, so and hopefully he'll get some more chances and he'll prove other people wrong if he starts scoring again. But yeah, on the left back and right back issues, I think we had two decent right backs that unfortunately have left. I'll agree with Nick on the fact that Livramento is the better of the two. I would prefer him back than Lamptey, who joined Brighton. On the left back side, we have got some promising players. I mentioned Lewis Hall, but we have got another one that we try to also consider getting back. We got this Dutch player or so, Martsen, whoever, who's on Coventry, I believe, on loan. He's also considered to be a very promising left back. So, so there's a couple of people there. We lost the young right backs that we had, but we've certainly got a couple of young left backs, and we got Emerson at Lyon. That could have come back. He wanted to stay rather than come back early from his loan. So I don't think Chelsea necessarily have to splash money on buying a left back if we got some, but it'd be nice if Livramento came back. But I'm not going to discuss really Abraham and Lukaku anymore.
Yeah, thank you. Again, you have every right now to do so. And again, I want to quickly breeze through the chat. And yeah, London, I remember you quite well. And again, I appreciate all your support. We are now approaching 110 subscribers. And the truth is, I couldn't have done it alone. It is all your efforts. The Mod, Street Beer, all the Queens of the House, Jos Viola, Mikhail, who always advises me every now and then, and everybody else, CFC Fahim, who's become a friend and a brother. You all your efforts, everybody on the panel, from staff, from Bobby, who's not here, and others, Pierre, LSG, Nick Blue, Showtime, even DJ South 17 were here today because of you guys. And believe me, I don't take that for granted. That's not who I am. I appreciate that. Let me see what else we can see here, because I want to surround off as soon as possible. We've gone too long now today, I think. Okay, that's you. Taras Gusta, Chelsea official must release Lukaku. His Okay, that's your opinion. I don't want LSG to. I don't want Showtime to start looking for you to start a fight with you. And let me see what else we have here. Okay, let's see. I think we should just call it a day, because it's been a great show. We have some a good conversation, a fight, unnecessary friction, if you ask me, at some point. But I'm glad we were able to move beyond that. Your final thoughts for the day, LSG?
Yeah, I just want to say, shout out to everyone on the panel. The conversation, despite the fact that it took a different turn earlier on, we managed to go on with the show, and I appreciate everyone. As for staff, I just want to say, I've never met you, but I love you. And if we ever meet anytime, we can have a beer together, so no malice over here. I'm cool with you. And Nick, if you ever set up anything, just let me know. One on this stream, where you can DM me if we have to go ahead with the protest that we talk about.
Go on Twitter, because I'm always on that Twitter.
Okay. What's your handle on Twitter?
I think it's Nick_blue, Nick Blue. Is that right? Just search if you search Nick Blue, it will show up.
You see, when you see the picture, Peter Osgood, it's me. It's me, like you see me here.
No worries, bro.
All right, big up the LSG. Yeah, I like the words you just said. Very professional, man. Yeah, good to hear you.
Yeah, and again, I like what he said. And again, everybody here, I don't start saying be my witness or something. I got really mad. Let me phrase it that way, because I've calmed down a bit. I did not mean to disrespect anybody, and I did not disrespect anybody, if you ask me. But if you feel disrespected, my apologies to you. I didn't mean to. That's not who I am. I appreciate everybody, even those that will come stay a minute and leave. I still appreciate you. This channel is where it is today because of the support I got from even people that I don't talk to anymore. For instance, Mo from Blue Lounge, we don't talk anymore. We have our issues, but still, I appreciate what he did for me when I newly started. I appreciate Green Toff, Global Fans channel. Also, he'll put up my channel in the middle of his stream and tell people go and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate Worldwide Charles. He's done the most. One of those that have done the most for me. Also, a couple of other channels who have supported me are the Taron, Sachdiva, Nishal, all of them. I think I will find a way to thank everybody for how much they've contributed to the growth of this channel, because the truth is, without them, I wouldn't be at the level that this channel will be at the point that it is today. So if my behavior or the way I ask questions or the way I try to handle the stream so that we can all have a civilized debate or argument or discussion, if you want, if it has at any point come across to you as insulting, my sincere apologies. That is not who I am. Again, we'll move on. And let me see. I think with that, I think we can say we've done talked enough today. I want to get your final thoughts for the day, Nick Blue. Then I'll go to LSC, Showtime, and then Pierre. Then we can round off.
What can I say? Yeah, good stream. There was a bit of tension, but it happens with everyone. We all Chelsea fanatics, and we get overexcited, like myself. I know I overdo it sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
afterwards I do think about it. You know, because just because I love Chelsea and anything involved with Chelsea, that's why. But you know, I'm sure stuff will overcome this. You know, he's more experienced enough and old enough to calm down, which he will. LSG, you know, you said great words, all of you, Pierre. Even declare down under. I'll declare you again. And yeah,
Sweet,
Showtime,
thanks.
big up to you. Big up to Showtime for the great support he's given me as well. You know, yeah, big up to all of you. Big up to all the chat strip, Jazriel, all everyone in the chat because you all make sense, and I love all of you because you're Chelsea fans. Yeah.
Great way to round up from you, Nick. Really, I appreciate the kind words and your love to those in the chat on the panel. Declare your final thoughts.
Well, everyone's made it sound like a bit of a goodbye stream or something. Um,
Please go
I
ahead,
want to give
Declare.
my chance to big up everyone. I mean, especially in this is probably like one of the worst times. I mean, worst position Chelsea's been in for a very long time, and discussions are heavy. It's no longer
Mm-hmm.
about players, Roman. Um, yeah, so this is probably and every fan is out to get us. So I think if there's any time to be more united, it should be now. So we shouldn't be mad at each other. Everyone's going to have different opinions. I still love Showtime. Me and Showtime have done this numerous times. So there's no malice. I never have any hate or anything. I expect different views. If we didn't have different views, we wouldn't have YouTube channels to discuss. There'll be no point of discussing. It would just be one way of one news. So let's be more unified. Let's be more accepting of what people say, and let's keep show must go on, huh?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for putting it. Yes, I mean, if we all agree, why have a show? And the point is, we advance, the world advances because we have differences of opinion, each of which complement each other. And when it doesn't, there's always something to learn from the other person. And again, it must not be about us. I don't know how else to phrase it so that it doesn't come across as if I'm disrespecting anybody. And if that's the case, again, my apologies to that person. That it's not in my nature to disrespect anybody. Showtime, your final thoughts. And I wanted to say this. I'll read this from Joy, the boy, who said Chelsea fans need to stick together now during these bad times. Yes, we need to. And believe me, I think we're together already. Again, frictions do arise every now and then when there's a conversation, especially when you talk about player performances or people expressing their opinion from opposing perspective. Frictions can arise, but we must learn to deal with it. It is because it is bound to happen, and there's never be where you have good discussions, where you have smart people. There will always be disagreements. But we disagree to agree, and with it, it's an opportunity for us to learn from each other. Your final thoughts, Showtime, before I go to Pierre to round up the show for us today.
Yeah, great stream. First and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on. First and foremost, as well. I want to give a shout out to all the guys in here. Declare, we may butt heads, but it's just for the love of the team, for the love of the club. I want to give a shout out to my OG Nick Blue. I mean, look, we are Chelsea. I'm Chelsea. It as much as Declare's Chelsea, Coachella's Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Blues Chelsea. Everyone in the plan was Chelsea. The people in the chat Chelsea. Abramovich is Chelsea. Marina's Chelsea. Bruce Buck is Chelsea. Tuchel is Chelsea. We make up Chelsea. We are Chelsea, and we will remain Chelsea through and through. I don't know. I bleed blue, and I'm gonna bleed blue to the day I'm going 6 feet under. That's about it. And look,
Yeah,
as
thank
long
you
as
very
we
much.
all
We move.
remember that,
Yeah,
we are the champions of the world. We are the remaining.
champions
We
of
are the
Europe still.
standing champions of Europe, and we may
Mm-hmm.
go for a two-peat, and it's possible. All is possible when we have Super Tommy Tuchel. You know, so
Yep, and
all is love.
I hope we win it again. We win the Champions League again this year because that would do us a world of good. Like Bobby would like to phrase it, he likes to use the term "a world of good," and I like it. Winning the Champions League again will make a whole lot of difference for us. I mean, again, I hope it will happen, but I think it will happen because if you all the look at this as that the years we've won the Champions League, it is the year that every other thing and really all other stuff aren't really going our way. But we usually, round off the year with a Champions League trophy. So I'm hopefully it's going to happen again this year. So guys, Showtime, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were saying something.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I mean, as long as the club is still standing, we're still
Mm,
moving. As long as we can still. I mean, look, Abramovich. I'm gonna declare my love for Abramovich on this stream today.
hmm
I love you, Abramovich. Thank you for introducing me to Chelsea FC.
Are you on a headset?
Because I am a Chelsea fan since your era, since Abramovich era, and I'm thankful.
hmm
So if you're to go, I wish you well. I hope you come back to visit. I hope you leave this club in the hands of one who you see yourself in. Someone like you, someone that can be better than you. I love you, Abramovich, and I love you, N'Golo Kante. Thank you, N'Golo. You make me happy every time I see you smile. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that beautiful way to say goodbye. Let me just go through this, and I want to recognize the presence of Ankit from Almighty Blues FC. If you haven't, go check out this channel. I can assure you, you will love his content. Again, I don't see anything else here. So coming to you, Pierre, your final thoughts on the whole situation, and I mean, you can end the stream for us.
Okay, it was getting rather very emotional here, as declared stared. I think it sounded like the last ever broadcast. Sort of who should I be thanking? And thanks to so and so. And I think the start of the stream just proves the point. When we were talking about players, and obviously, people can debate and have little arguments about data and whatever. But when we're talking about players, backup terminology or non-backup terminology for left backs or right backs, I think that just shows that we can have a discussion. But the one thing that we shouldn't bring up on this stream is politics, because that is the real killer. Just like you don't discuss religion, you shouldn't discuss politics, because I think that's where it became really fierce today.
Yeah, I think that's a lesson. I think we tried as much as we can to avoid politics. We just couldn't, given the title of the stream and given what we were talking about. It would be very, very difficult to talk about it and not go the path of politics. So you made a great point there. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for Street Beer. Thank you for Just Viola, the two queens of the house. You guys have been great. Thank you to all the moderators in the chat. I appreciate you all. I cannot thank you enough. And to everybody on the panel from Pierre, LSG, Declare, Nick Blue, and also my brother Showtime. I appreciate you all. Believe me, deep down my heart, I appreciate you all. And I'm going to look at the camera and say to you, staff, my sincere apologies to you. If you feel disrespected, I didn't call you stupid. You misread what I said, and I hope everybody on the panel can bear me witness. I did not mean to disrespect you, and I wasn't calling you stupid. I don't have to go through it again. You can go rewatch it and ask somebody, whoever you get to watch it with, if I'm referring to you as stupid. You just jumped to conclusions there and decided I called you stupid. And then again, staff, yes, I understand all your efforts, and I'm grateful to have had you all this while on as part of the panel. But if you decide you're done, like you've unsubscribed and you said bye-bye to everybody, if that's what makes you happy, I'm all for it. But then again, I appreciate you, and I'd welcome you back with open arms. If you decide, yeah, you want to be back, you're always welcome. But then again, thank you for everything that you've done for me. I appreciate that, and I cannot thank you enough. And with that, I say thank you to everybody on the panel and in the chat. God bless us all. See you guys tomorrow for another Blue Morning show. And tomorrow we'll be comparing the Todd Bowley group and the Ricketts family to see who has a better chance on becoming the new Chelsea owner. So see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.